that even mean?
All right. I fucked that all the way up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Straight Talk No Chase is back in the motherfucking building. We got the whole crew here today. We got myself. We've got Cosby Digital. And we got the man with the plan, Mr. Kirkland Keys. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Straight Talk No Chase. And we are ready to get this episode cracking. Got a lot going on to talk about today. We are definitely going to talk about Dave Chappelle. We are also going to talk about Charleston White in his recent Vlad TV interview. And we are also going to get into this Bruce Allen.
John Gruden.
Yeah, sorry. John Gruden NFL scandal. So, I'm going to try to do this correctly today. So the way this works is I'm going to introduce the other hosts. I'm going to ask them how their week went. And then hopefully somebody asks me how my week went. It never happens like that, but fuck it. Let's start off with Kirk Keys.
Test it out this time, right?
Let's start off with Kirk.
All right. How my week been? We good grief. Come on. Now I just got back from Birmingham, like literally earlier today. I also was in what's that festival in Atlanta called One Music Fest or something like that.
Yo, that shit looked lit. Like,
it was a pretty good time, but I lost my phone right before I went in, so that was problem number one.
That's always a problem.
But then B, people wasn't showing up. Burna Boy ain't show up, and that's really why I wanted to go. I don't know if Lil Wayne showed up. If he did, it was super late. Like, he was supposed to play at 8:15. We left at 9:30, and he still hadn't performed yet. So I don't think he performed either. They had Big Tigger filling in his spot.
Big Tigger?
Exactly. Like,
that's a letdown.
Like a whole, the DJ set trying.
Play that new song for Big Tigger filling in for Lil Wayne.
That joint was trash. But all in all, yeah, the festival was love. It was a good time. It's just good to see like the festival vibe back out after COVID and everything. So that was cool. But COVID is definitely gonna be run rampant through these festivals. The way they had it set up.
That's fine.
So you were supposed to either have a vaccination or your COVID card. I mean, not your COVID card, COVID test that you.
Nobody had a test, did they?
Most people didn't have a test, but outside of not having a test, if you didn't, there was a free test. You can get it on the corner, rapid joint, results come right back. After they take the test though, they put a wristband on you that says, yeah, they just got tested over here, and then they supposed to let you in over there at the gate. But it's not even no time to get the results back. Like, the results didn't come back until we was leaving the festival.
And they still let you in.
They had already let us in, yeah.
Well, at least they got some contact tracing going on.
Exactly, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
I mean, it's a free motherfucking. It's a free motherfucking country, man. Yeah, I say let everybody in. COVID, AIDS, whatever you got. Come on in.
Oh, putting those in the same boat, are we?
That's probably my favorite sound, man.
They should have never gave you niggas money.
But all in all, week went well. Week about to go well. 5-day weekend from school, so we had a good little time these last 5 days. But I go back tomorrow, so back to the workforce.
It's all good though, man. We're glad you had a good time.
What's up with y'all? What you do, Colin?
Weekend, man. I was chilling this weekend, man.
We partied yesterday.
We had a good time yesterday. It was a safe, responsible, respectable fun. Shout out to Deja Vu Experience Band. They put on a great show. Went to Old Ebbitt. That's on our spots. I'm gonna be with Experience Band every Thursday at Hook Hall. We're doing live karaoke, so make sure y'all pull up to that. I was expecting some Hustle Man jokes today, but I didn't even get any, and I got real shit to hustle this week.
I mean, you know how you are.
Yeah.
I support the hustle.
Pushing, panhandling, motherfucker. Hey, y'all should have seen him in the streets today. He had this hat on with a sign talking about support the revolution.
He talking about, look, I got my beret. Thank you, Amazon. I was looking for a new stylish hat to wear, and I was like, I came war ready today because I'm gonna mop the floor with Trip Simpson today. I'm gonna put my Che Guevara beret on today.
Nigga, we gonna mop the floor with that mop on your head, nigga.
He's mad when I pulled up to the house. I was making fun of that stupid orange beanie he had on.
Hey, listen. First of all, okay, does anyone want to ask me how my week went?
You look like a fucking number 2 pencil. I don't want to know how your fucking week went. Now, how was your week?
Off the break though. So first off,
Get it back in blood.
this episode is brought to you by Don Julio White, 70.
Let's see where's the bottle.
For some reason, man, we have 2 bottles for some reason.
Yes,
That means this could go left.
this is gonna go.
Proud of you guys.
This is gonna all be off the left wing. So
I stopped drinking.
you did?
Like permanently? Can we hit you with the Stephen A. Smith? Stay off the weed.
So my week was cool. Pretty basic. I mean, I did the same thing I do every week. Get money. It's like
That's some light skinned orange hat shit to say.
The way he said it too looked like
I'll tell you the highlight of my week was going to my first Redskins game. And yes, Redskins. I don't say Washington football team.
Washington football team.
That shit's corny as fuck. They're the Redskins.
On Columbus Day, really? You gonna do it?
I don't give a. You already know how I feel about the Native Americans. Until they pay us that money.
Like the equivalent of Juneteenth whole time.
Right. So look, the Redskins game, right? Okay. Tailgate was off the hook. Shout out to my man Joe Chiz. Excellent tailgate. We had the ribs, greens, beans, potatoes, yams, lambs, hams, dogs. We had all that shit out there.
I eat dogs.
We had the good drinks. We had the corn liquor out there. We had everything. But walking into that raggedy ass motherfucker stand. Hold
They need
up.
to
Shout out
stadium bag.
to Dwayne Michael. I did stop by the Legendary Burger stand. Got me a Legendary Burger.
Shout out to Legendary Burger. That's my folks right there.
Definitely went and got me a Legendary Burger. Right? However, that stadium is the weakest NFL experience, I think, throughout the league.
I would agree. Did y'all see week 1 when it was feces coming out of a pipe?
Yeah, that joint like sewage splashed on them.
I think it spilled onto our sideline too.
Oh man.
You know the worst part of the experience, right? 2 things. Number 1, the band doesn't play the fucking song anymore.
Dang, for real.
So you can't even get the hell to the. They don't play that shit no
They don't
more.
even play it over the loudspeaker?
They don't play it. They don't even play the instrumental.
Because it says hail to the Redskins.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
You change the name, you can't keep the song.
And the second bad part is these motherfuckers got feet. They got male cheerleaders.
I heard about that.
My nigga, football is about violence, alcohol, a little weed, ass, and titties. That's football.
But you heard John Gruden, they got to make way for the queers. And that's not me quoting. That's John Gruden.
We'll get to John Gruden later. We'll get to John Gruden.
You'll hear the joke later when
But
John
hold
Gruden
on.
says it.
To defend the male cheerleaders, they out there beating their feet to go-go music. You act like they got pom-poms and a skirt on.
You a male cheerleader, my nigga.
They actually dancers.
I support the male dancers of the Washington football team.
I don't.
I know
man.
a couple of them.
Yo, if you went to the tryouts, bro, I mean, no disrespect.
I support the culture, man. Anything that keeps our culture
They was
alive.
beating their feet.
Yeah, they play the
They
CCB.
play
The CCB joint.
and they play what's my man name? Drew Keys joint too.
Yeah. So
Bro.
that's home. So look, it's home team people involved in making that thing possible, and we already have trouble. We
couldn't find no women that could beat their feet?
keeping our culture solid in DC. So but that's historically dealing with bands and cheerleaders. It's always male dancers in the band. Got your drum majors, people dance with instruments. I think you're reading a little too
I think
far
the
into it.
Redskins always suck because they resemble a college football team.
Shout out. To
Actually,
Dave
we're
Chappelle.
one of
Shout out to Dave
franchise that
Chappelle.
got Super Bowls. This franchise that don't have Super Bowls.
Yeah, but
Shout out to Dave
also
Chappelle, because-
after the song and all of that too.
I'm with Dave Chappelle. I respect women's rights and what's for women. These dudes are gonna take your jobs.
What?
These dudes are gonna take your jobs.
Hey,
Ladies, you better advocate for more ass and titties on the football field. Or this field,
this episode going left.
I'm telling you. These dudes out there beating their feet, doing backflips and shit, running circles around the female
You
cheerleaders.
think men would get rid of them to keep those?
I mean, it's happening slowly but surely. It's happening slowly but surely. But anyway, that's enough rambling about my uninteresting week. Dave Chappelle. Brand new Netflix special out called The Closer. I absolutely loved it. Duh, right? But it's been getting some backlash from the alphabet boys and girls and, you know, boy girls and girl boys. It's been getting some backlash. And to me, I feel like it's undue, if that's a word. But I want to start with Kirk on this one. What did you think of the special?
Of course you do. You always want to start with me. I think that joint was cool. I loved it. It was a little bit grimacing, which I think Dave Chappelle isn't usually like. There were points where it was kind of like, that joke wasn't really funny, but I do see why you were bringing that into play too, to prove your point when it was all said and done. So he had an intention behind it, and I think he executed on his intention very well. He used his voice to advocate for black people, which I'm always
It's always a plus.
A supporter of it.
That's always a plus.
And the way he did it, he didn't necessarily his whole goal was, I'm trying not to use the phrase put down, because his whole goal was to not look like he's putting down transgenders. He tried to actually humanize them at the end of the day, not just transgenders, but like the alphabet boys in general. He tried to humanize them. He put into perspective that most of his bits are actually against white people, and white people performing these acts, not necessarily the alphabet boys. It's the whole fact that he don't like the way white people be out here making up these rules. Like,
I mean, he made an interesting point. He was like, it's like now they changed the game, because it's like, fuck you, nigga, I'm a girl.
Yeah,
you can't talk to me like that.
Exactly. And so, from the Space Jews to,
oh my God, that was brilliant.
Clifford, the big black nigga, to what's another joint? I mean, the way he humanized the transgender friend of his, whether that was a true story or not.
It's true.
You actually like looked it up.
It actually happened.
But yeah, that's like wild too. So like, even him being able to bring that in, I think he did a good job just telling the story, saying what he was trying to say, getting his point across.
All right,
I think this is misguided anger at the end of the day, because they always want to be angry.
I mean, they always have misguided anger. That's what they do.
He also proved his point too, with the whole baby conversation too, because the fact that he killed a man in Walmart before his career even launched, and his career was still even able to launch, and then you about to destroy your whole career just because you hurt some feelings. You know what I'm saying? So I think even that perspective is crazy.
I agree wholeheartedly. Larry Liberal, what do you think?
Who the fuck is that?
Mr. Cosby.
Anyway,
your thoughts.
First, shout out to Dave Chappelle, DMV native, man. Always back in the city, always giving back. One of the most approachable and down to earth stars I've ever met personally. Kudos to him. I wish him much more success, and continue to get these big projects, big specials, and big bags. I thought the special was brilliant. Something stood out to me other than the LGBTQ part that I wanted to mention. The part, the Clifford, the big red nigga part, that stood out. Yeah, that stood out to me because that's happened to me on several occasions. Right. For y'all who's tuning in and don't know me, my name is Cohen Powell Cosby III. Right. So when you see that on a resume, you see that on some paper, you don't expect me to walk in the door after you read that name. So I've personally experienced that Clifford, the big red nigga scenario myself, whereas though
black nigga,
it was like, oh, you're Cohen? They was expecting a space Jew to show up and not me. So shout out to him for pointing that out specifically, because that's definitely something I've experienced on a regular basis. And as far as the LGBTQ T plus thing, right? So he did his best to really break down the hypocrisy that's involved in dealing with advocating for different groups, right? I'm on record all the time. I believe people should live their lives however they want to, and people should have space to live their life without ridicule. And I acknowledge that all these people exist, right? I don't pretend that I live in a world where LGBTQ people don't exist. I don't pretend that I'll ever live in a world that they won't exist, because they always have. Gay people have always existed. They always will, right? So with that being said, there's still a line that, like an arbitrary line that has been created to where as though you can't be above reproach or above criticism. So it's very important for us to understand that just because you're in a
what, sir?
Just because you're in a minority group, or you're in a quote unquote oppressed group, or you're in a group that has been marginalized, you shouldn't get special treatment, especially if you're a black person, right? So it was an interview done today on CNN. I can't remember the comedian's name, but she's a transgender comedian, and she said something very important. She was like, well, I advocate for 3 people, right? I got 3 dogs in a fight. She's like, I'm black, transgender, and I'm a comedian, right? First, she talked about I have to advocate for this space as a comedian to where so I can get up here and share my feelings, have an opinion in this free country without being canceled, without being ridiculed, because that stage is supposed to be a safe space for a comedian to share their thoughts and feelings and to be provocative, to push the culture forward. Right? And then she said another thing, I'm transgender. Have to advocate for my community. I have to, identify with them. But she said something important. She was like, well, the young lady that was Dave Chappelle's friend, right? That he gave an opportunity to open up for when he's the biggest comedian in the world and she's a nobody, befriended her, gave her opportunity that the LGBTQ community never gave her. And then when she came out to defend her friend, somebody she knows personally that has befriended her, gave her opportunities, she knows intimately, that's a real friend. They dragged her. So it was less about a real man's character or what he really was about, and more about just pushing a narrative, right? And I'm never a fan of narratives, right? I'm a fan of how we really treating people, how we really reacting people in real life. So his special really, exposed the hypocrisy that's going on and the narratives that are being pushed, to, I don't want to say marginalize straight people, because I think that's some dumbass shit, but like, you can live your life, live your culture, do your thing without that undue influence. But I think what the problem is, and what the biggest elephant in the room is, there's so much racism and white supremacy tied into the labels, the LGBTQ community. Because when it really comes down to black transgender people, black gay people, we will go to bat for the quote unquote community. But when it comes down to us being killed, murdered, maimed, missing, marginalized, the LGBT community does not show up for them the same way that black people show up. And we always do that for all people.
He even used the Sojourner Truth example too.
Yeah.
I mean, and both of you guys make great points. I mean, I'm going to go a step further and say I was proud to watch this, because you finally have a black quote unquote celebrity, right?
Oh, he's a celebrity.
With the balls to tell them people to go fuck themselves, right? And I think that's important, because I think a stance like that is monumental for the times that we live in. Because I've watched over the past few years, since Obama came in office, I've watched this particular group of people, and not all. I'm not talking about people who call themselves gay or lesbian, whatever. I'm not talking about all of them, but the political machine behind the LGBTQ movement. It was great to see them have to shut the fuck up, and it showed just how hypocritical they really are. And when I say they, once again, I'm talking about the political machine, not your everyday average people who consider themselves gay. It's good to see them have to eat shit, and I hope they eat more. I hope they eat more, because the amount of influence that they've been able to spread in American culture, I think is a little dangerous, because it's to the point where you can't even disagree with them. People aren't even saying hateful things about these people on a regular basis. They just disagree with them from a philosophical standpoint, and all of a sudden you have to be canceled, which I think is ridiculous. And I think Dave Chappelle painted a brilliant picture, and for them to even come out with the backlash just pretty much proves his point.
So this is the tricky thing about America, right? America in its dealings with people is so low down, dirty, backstabbing, trickster. Like, you can't even get the benefit of the doubt, right? Even though somebody like Chappelle may not have, some like negative goals, right? He just wants to really start a conversation and push the culture forward. Our culture is so messed up, right? That you do have people that perpetuate violence against transgender people. You have people who perpetuate violence against gay people. You have these,
like who?
You have these elements that are out there.
In large, though, who?
Most of the conservative white America definitely perpetuates violence against gay people. Definitely anything related to the church, especially the Mormon church, the Pentecost, like the really like religious zealots, which we have a whole lot of in America. They definitely perpetuate stereotypes, racism, and violence towards that community. So I'm not gonna excuse them and let them off the hook. So that's a real thing.
I mean, what kind of violence do they perpetuate, though? Because I haven't seen anyone come out with a clear statement that says we believe gays should be beaten or killed.
Some advocate the literal interpretation of the Bible where you should stone gay people.
The only place I've ever seen that take place is Jamaica.
Nah, so they believe in the Bible the same way.
I'm just saying.
Here.
The only group of people that I've ever really, that I know for a fact would carry some of those things out is in Jamaica.
You hang around evangelicals?
How many evangelicals? I've never seen a tweet or anything from one evangelical person. And I'm not advocating for them. I'm just saying you're making these claims that people are so violent towards them when that's not the case.
For
the most part, when transgenders get them paws put on them, it's because they lied to someone and told them that they was a real woman and they wasn't.
What about gay people?
What gay people are being harmed on large?
On a regular basis.
I mean,
well, he's a bad example. But they are.
But he's a good example because it's not real.
He's an outlier.
Dude, the only group of people.
That's like saying
the only group of people that are targeted.
That's like saying because Obama became president, there's no racism towards black people.
That's not like saying that.
It is. You just. Well, he mentioned an outlier. I mean, I'm comparing that as an outlier that he made up a whole fucking story.
The gay community is a protected community. They're a protected class. So, as a black man,
white gay people. As
a black man, when I hear somebody, especially another black person, respectfully sit up and advocate saying that these people get this and they get that, I'm a little insulted because to this day, shout out to the Bronx Bomber. Hold on. Till this day.
He's on petty time today.
To this day, King. We are the most targeted group of people, gay or straight, in this country. We are targeted the most.
So what if you're black and gay at the same time?
You're just black at the end of the day.
No, it's not.
Black gays probably get treated better than straight gays. You got more.
Well, let's say what's your context? So let's say
let's say you're in the job market.
A black gay male, a black gay male in corporate America.
Yo,
may get treated.
I'm gonna give you a real example.
Hold on,
I'm gonna give you a real. You asked me a question.
I didn't ask you a question. You just pretended I asked you a question. A black gay male.
You literally just asked me a question.
What did I ask you?
You said. You asked me something. Go ahead.
So
I wish I knew what you said.
A black gay male in corporate America, sometimes will have an easier time than a straight male because he's not seen as a threat in the same way a straight black male is seen. I can agree with that for sure. But up until that point and outside of the workforce or job market, from my experience, what I've seen, how gay men are treated, they're treated differently. Now, I would say this: black people get made out to seem like we're the most vicious people or most this. We're actually the most tolerant group of people.
I agree.
Yeah, we're actually the most tolerant group of people. So honestly, this argument, funny enough, it's less about how we treat people in our community, because even the most homophobic person that I know in the black community is pales in comparison to how white people actually treat gay, transgender, and lesbian family members. Like, they disown their ass. They be fucking them up, beating them up, bullying them. Like, I'll say the black people treat our people better no matter what color, creed, orientation that we are.
That's iffy, bro.
Go ahead, Kirk.
I think that's iffy. I mean, I think it's the same. It's like saying black on black crime is real. Like, nah, it's just proximity. You know what I'm saying? White people have white people in their family, especially these white men. They going crazy. Like, the whole downtown, you got white men walking around with each other going to brunch and restaurants and all of that type stuff. So, like, I think you see it in that family, and it's just as welcome as it is in ours. But I think what you mentioned about gay black men, as far as progress in like corporate America and things like that, I do think that's a thing too, because they see them as less of a threat.
Right.
But I can't say, I mean, like, when I was there, I think it was kind of 50-50. There was straight black men, there was gay black men. But I guess for the world to not be 50-50, that's kind of, that's a high number.
I mean, I'll say this. I mean, first of all, I want to make something clear. This is no hate towards any gay people at all, but they have solidified their position, right? And even gay blacks, even though they get treated badly in the gay community, right? They still take somewhat of a benefit from that, because they also have that crutch to fall on when they get in the jam. Because the black card doesn't even fucking work anymore. I don't even know why there's such a thing.
I was about to say, all of it is in relation to proximity to whiteness, right? Just by saying I'm part of LGBTQ, like, just assuming that identity and lettering and that, all of that shit gives you proximity to whiteness, to be honest. And that's the thing that they benefit from. Other than that, but proximity always runs out when they want it to run out. When it's your time for it to run out.
You can look at the Ed Buck case. Yeah. Ed Buck out in California, big prominent Democrat, right? He's a big time Democrat donor. Like, 3 black men have died in this nigga's house doing drugs with him and getting fucked, right? 3 have died. None of their families have gotten any justice. And the media has just totally act like the shit never happened.
I mean, Kurt said it best, Sojourner the truth. Like, ain't our woman do?
Right. But I mean, but I think
black too.
I think there was so many layers to Dave Chappelle's message in this last special that may have gone over a lot of people's heads. I don't think it was to bash any certain group, but I think it was more so of a call to black folks to circle the wagons. Understand, these other groups are using our struggle against us to gain a leg up. And that's one thing that we need to realize as an ethnic group. We have to stop being so nice and giving people the keys to the motherfucking castle, because we think that they're our allies and friends. Like, when you got allies though, you got to realize your allies don't need to come to every barbecue, right? Allies are allies and friends are friends, but they're not the same thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Say that one more time for the people.
Allies are allies and friends are friends, but they're not the same thing. They aren't to be had fucked up. If you understand what I'm saying.
Nah, you practice what you preach though. I see how you move with your folks on the job. Your allies are your allies and your friends are
I mean, hell, listen, one of my allies on the job is a gay black man. Shout out to my man Josh. Real nigga. You know what I mean? We agree about a lot of things, but we disagree about some things. Probably this issue, but at the same time, he knows how to stick and move. You know what I mean?
Oh, you better hit that button. You better hit that button. You better.
That's how you gonna do me?
How'd you know how to stick and move?
Well, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is he knows how to get things done. But one thing I'll give him credit for is he never he never puts the black.
He never forgets to call you the next day?
He never forgets that he's black first. Which is why I totally respect him. But at the same time, if he got to play that card, whoa, this is because I'm gay, he'll play it. And that gets him way further than just saying, oh, it's because I'm black. The black card don't get you nowhere no more.
When did it?
I mean, maybe in the 60s, 70s, maybe some in the 80s.
Shit.
But as soon as everybody realized that the wording in the Civil Rights Act said minority and not just black, all of these splinter minority groups started popping out the fucking woodworks. Everything's a goddamn minority. It's to the point now, like what we're talking about, even the way you have sex at this point is a minority, which is crazy.
But you know the LGBTQIA2 plus.
Goddamn, you got it. Clap it up for him.
Joint. I wasn't even saying it, whatever it is now. Like, I don't know it because I just tried to get it and I think I got it. But what I mean is, I don't even know what the 2 plus and all that means. But what I was taught, I think this weekend, is that means like people who have masculinity and femininity or something like that. Like they identify with both of those in them. But like every human has that. Like every human has a masculine and feminine side. And so honestly, this joint is just becoming more and more inclusionary to where it's going to add. It's talking about everybody at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, yeah. Right? It's going to be the end of the Civil Rights Act because anybody and everybody can claim to be some whatever, and it's I'm marginalized. Mm-hmm. No, the fuck you're not.
Yeah, it's real interesting.
I mean, the Civil Rights Act is a wrap anyway. I mean, so this is just
something new.
Yeah. At this point, in
leave it to Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's 2022. That shit's obsolete anyway. Mm-hmm. You're gonna need the Civil Rights Against Robots Act in like 10 years.
It is, but it ain't. It is, but it ain't, bro. Like people are using it. Like there's been 3 major civil rights cases that came before the Supreme Court. Illegal immigrants, LGBT, and blacks. Guess who lost? And guess who won? Mm-hmm. The people who originally fought for the legislation lost their Supreme Court case.
But that's why I say it's obsolete. We need something specifically. You know, they pulled the rug out us on the last minute with that one, right? So we need something specifically that speaks to black issues. Civil rights is no longer synonymous with black. So that's why I say it's obsolete. It's no point in even fighting for an obsolete law. We need to have something totally different that addresses black people's needs. Like what's the platinum plan? Shout out to Ice Cube. We need a platinum plan, something like that, where it specifically addresses our needs. I don't feel the need to fight for the Civil Rights Act because we already know it's a Trojan horse at this point.
Yeah, all the Trojans have been let loose.
It's raining men. Hallelujah. It's raining men.
I don't know what state of mind he's in. I feel like he put that button for himself.
No, what I'm saying is literally raining men in the Civil Rights Act. Like I made this point a long time ago on the show, and Dave Chappelle basically said it in a special. Like
he stole your joke. Hey, clap it up. Give it up for Trip Simpson, man. He did make this point before Dave.
You a white man could literally put on a fucking wig and get whatever the fuck he wants right now. puts on a wig. Oh, I'm transgender. Give me the house. Give me the good loan. Give me this. Give me that. Right away. Oh, and by the way, I want a grant to go to an HBCU. He can do whatever the fuck you want. They can do whatever, and they're going to get it first.
I don't know. I can't co-sign that one. I don't know
how that shit work.
I haven't done the research on that one.
Nigga, you could literally put on a wig. A man can put on a wig and literally, a white man
Well, I'll say this. It
can
depends.
literally put on a wig and be covered under all the civil rights laws in the country if he puts a fucking wig on now.
Oh, yeah, it makes him a minority. I can agree with that. You cleared that up. Because I was going to say, it depends on where he lives. He ain't doing that shit in Florida, Mississippi.
Oh, they definitely doing it in Florida. The niggas in Florida is crazy.
Miami, maybe. Nowhere else.
Bro. Florida man is a man of
Yeah,
many.
you think. No, they is not fucking with people like that in Florida. But just to kind of, put a cap on this issue, if you haven't seen the special, make sure you go check it out. It's very thought-provoking. It brings up all of these issues in terms of equity, how even media equity, how when black people have issues versus trans issues versus gay issues, how much coverage we get. It talks about identity. Where do you identify with? Like, all of these things are social constructs. Black, white, gay, lesbian, they're all social constructs. So eventually you just have to figure out what group you want to be a part of and you identify with it, right? But it matters how these things are like litigated, how these things are put to public opinion. So if you're not clear on where you lie, where you stand, this special is very thought-provoking to make you think about, man, what do you really think about what's going on in your community right now?
I think that's a little dangerous.
I want to give you my two iffy jokes real quick, and they was kind of back to back, and they was early on too. So one was when he talked about being molested by the priest or whatever.
Okay.
That joint was, I was all right, that wasn't all that funny. And then when he was talking about how he had COVID and he was watching the black people beat up the Asians, and how he kept reiterating it before he said he couldn't help but feel like that's what was happening in his body. That was
a good joke.
That was funny as
But
hell.
he set it up great.
Yes,
He set it up great.
The setup, it was like, dang, this is messed up. Why are you talking about this
Dude,
or whatever?
I'm
And then
glad
when he
you brought
did
that
it,
up.
I was like, oh, that was so hilarious.
But it was so true.
That was pretty funny.
It was so true.
He said, I couldn't help but think that's what's going on in my body.
But then whole time that shit was fluke too. They tried to push that narrative that black people was just out there attacking Asian people.
Hell no.
That was some
Like
bullshit.
he was co-signing that narrative.
Yeah, that was
by
a-
saying
it was a
he
setup, though.
watching the videos that even show that, because I don't feel like it's that many videos that show that.
But think about what he said though. Like he said,
it was hilarious.
he and his wife is Asian. He went hard.
Exactly.
He basically was like,
he made it seem like they both his friends, and he didn't. It was terrible him watching them.
he basically said that they're a virus in the community. That was, I mean, it was genius. It was genius.
Nah, he definitely slipped that one in there, like real vicious. Like
I think the big, like, yo, real quick, shout out to the Jewish community, because they
for not being so sensitive.
they did not get sensitive over the Space Jews joke.
They probably used to the Chappelle being anti-Semitic too.
But then again, they're like, well, we own Netflix, so I mean, we get paid. Shout out to the Space Jews.
But whole time, I thought that Space Jews joke was he set it up very nicely.
He did.
Like it was like, oh, it's a civilization. They left, they went away. They figured out where we were. It wasn't that great, and we came back. Oh shit, there's people already here. Oh, that doesn't matter. We're gonna claim this land for ourselves, right? And
It's like that's happening.
that's like literally
now.
for the people who need context. That's the Palestinian Israeli conflict crisis right now. If you look up your history of how the state of Israel actually became to be, it kind of carved it out of the Arab state after war. So the chosen people and the chosen land really didn't even exist 100 years ago. So the same land that they're pushing people off, building settlements and all the things that's going on, did not exist 100 years ago. So just do your research on that particular.
I look at it differently though, right? Like, I think they did a great job taking Palestine. They set it up great. I mean, I think one thing that we need to do as black folks is take a step back, right? Let's be quiet for like a year and just watch other people work, right? Let's watch them. Because we spend so much time whining and complaining about what the world is doing to us, we don't really understand that the world doesn't give a fuck.
And you got to do the same thing.
You have to do the same thing. You have to.
Well, I can.
Unless you think, well, I mean, listen, whenever Jesus comes back, he'll fix it. But at the same time,
See, that's the problem.
we
right?
gotta live.
But that's
until then.
That's the problem, right? Why black people need to always be on the other side of that whole thing, because that's explicitly tied to white supremacy. The Zionist Jews, that whole situation is going on in Israel. That is like, that's why America protects Israel the way that they do.
Yeah, but you have to also understand this. They also protect Saudi Arabia even more, right?
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
If it came down to Israel and Saudi Arabia,
Let me tell you something. If you walk up to the Saudi Arabian embassy right now on 16th Street Northwest, that's what's going to happen to you. The Secret Service is going to get at you before you even get to the door.
So I agree with
They
you.
don't do that for no other embassy, bro.
Did you try to do that at the Israeli embassy?
Okay, let me give you some.
They do. So
Let me give you some context, though.
Yeah.
My firehouse is located smack in the middle of all the embassies in America. All the embassies in America are in Washington, D.C., right? I've gone to at least 100 different embassies just on automatic fire alarms, medical calls, all that shit. The Saudi Arabian embassy, you're not getting in the door until you go through Secret Service. Then once you get through Secret Service, you're going to be met with an AK at the door with the Saudi Secret Service. What I'm telling you is there's no other embassy in America that has that type of protection. Also understand
I'm saying
this.
who's protecting most if it came
Arab-
down to the U.S. military. Who's
Arab
protecting
people
most?
also claim whiteness. Because if you're talking about bloodline, a lot of the Jewish people and the Arab people who are even at odds are of the same bloodline.
That's facts.
So I don't like to really conflate Palestine being a white supremacy issue. It's a dispute amongst whites, and the Palestinians lost. Because there's other Arabs in other Islamic countries that don't have those type of issues. They would have never thought to go to Saudi Arabia and play games like that. Palestine just didn't play chess right. Similar to us, we don't play chess right. Israel saw some food and they ate the shit. Kudos to them.
They didn't do it on their own though.
Well, that could be argued.
So
They leveraged.
But that definitely was a product that conflict was a big product of the Cold War as well.
Well, no.
Which side which still white people fighting.
That far predates.
White people, yeah.
That far predates the Cold War.
Yeah.
They came into Israel in the 40s, bro. Right after World War II.
Well, I'm saying just to the preservation of the Israeli state.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
No, definitely. No, that definitely predates because it was that was like World War II, World War I era.
Yeah, World War II was right after they took down Hitler. All the displaced Jewish European Jews from Europe got their own country in Palestine, but they played it right. They played it right. They didn't come out of their situation the wrong way. They came out of their situation with boots on the ground. Unfortunately, that's how you got to be. They took their narrative, they used it to their advantage, and unfortunately, somebody else had to pay. But see, we don't think like that. We came up out of our situation and sat and prayed on it and still got boots up our ass. Then everybody saw how soft we were, and then their boots started going up our ass. Unfortunately, that's what happened. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, while I say Israel's in a position that they're in because they have the full faith backing of the United States government. If let's say we had a real progressive president that really came in, right? And it's like, I don't want to support Israel no more. We stop at aid. We stop at military aid. We stop at training. We stop at weapons. They would get washed in a matter of months.
They get washed in a day.
Yeah, they would be washed.
Everybody hates when I say this, but look what happened to Trump. Trump wasn't really for them like, give me this, give me that. I mean, he gave them the money he was supposed to give them, but he threw them some shade.
But he didn't withhold anything. So talking shit but not doing anything policy
Let me ask you, what demographic owns a lot of the media?
Definitely.
You gotta say that in the mic, Kirk.
My bad, Jews.
That's offensive. Let's say Jewish people.
Jewish people. the Jews. That's what
You can't just be like the Jews. Come on, man.
Jewish.
I didn't know that was finished.
Jewish people.
Jewish is offensive.
No, but I mean, you know,
when I said Jews, that's
offensive. I didn't know the Jews was
I
offensive.
think that's like how you get some anti-Semitic language.
right. We're not trying to get all that. But YouTube,
thought that was an abbreviation.
YouTube, we're not playing those games.
I think there's a difference in who we're talking about, honestly.
But think about it. Like you gotta look at it like this.
Go there.
The former president pissed off a lot of powerful ethnic groups, and in turn, they demolished them in the media.
Actually, no, they didn't. They
They demolished
they
him in the
boosted
media.
him. Like he had people.
No.
So one thing about
Bro, they cancel him from every social media platform. They literally, him and Farrakhan were canceled from every social media
the president
platform.
of the United States and Farrakhan, bro.
So he got canceled because he was inciting violence. Now they did Farrakhan that way that you talking about.
They did the same thing to Trump.
No, Trump orchestrated a whole Capitol insurrection. That's why they canceled his shit. Because think about it, he wasn't canceled up until that. So let's not get it twisted. And he was saying everything he was saying for 4 years before he got his social media taken away.
Yeah,
they took his social.
Too though. He had to use social media because the actual media that they run is what was messing him up.
But which I don't realize, Trump is he's so media savvy
that he was
most of the
using
wild
that,
shit he
yeah,
was
but-
saying. Like all media is good media. That's what people don't realize. Especially you're at that level. If let's say it's a cable news program, right? They got an hour, and they're dedicating 35 minutes of that hour to covering all of the things you say.
I understand your point. Like all media is good media at the end of the day.
Like he was manipulating the shit out of me.
What I'm saying is, based on what he actually did while he was in office, versus take away his tweets. Let's not talk about his tweets. The media talks about your record as a president. Based on what he did while he was in office, he could have won a second term if the media didn't destroy him. Is what I'm saying.
I think he could have won a second term.
He would have won a second term in a landslide, actually, if the media didn't badmouth him the way that they did.
Well, I think you kind of letting him off the hook that like they had shit to badmouth him about.
I mean,
like it ain't like they made
it
ain't like that. Hold on. Let's not get it.
But they also
did they make up anything?
Yes.
They made up a whole lot of shit about it.
Hell yes.
Like what?
Oh, first of all, they tried to blame him for the CV virus. Trying to say he didn't want to do anything about it. The first thing the nigga said was, let's shut down the borders to China. Then they called him a racist for doing that. And then they criticized him for not shutting it down after he suggested it, and they said he shouldn't.
He called the virus, he didn't say it was real for the first 2 months. When it came out that he had evidence, he was briefed that he knew it was there and he knew what it was. And he was still 2 months after. He was still out in the media. So that holds no water or weight.
I just
really doesn't.
I just saw a video clip on Instagram the other day, right?
Uh-oh.
Kamala Harris,
I love
Nancy
that source.
Pelosi, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, all these Democrats coming out saying they would never take a vaccine. Mandated vaccines? No, not under this president. Same companies made the vaccines. New president, they're all saying something different now.
Yeah, that's politics.
Right, but it's still not right.
That's politics.
It's still not right.
I wouldn't take a vaccine under Trump either because this is what Trump did.
So you wouldn't take a vaccine under Trump, but you'll take one under Biden.
Trump literally got on TV. Trump got on TV to tell people about fucking UV and bleach. He's an idiot. Like he literally got on TV and had people taking bleach and doing all kind of. He's an idiot. And one thing we've talked about a lot on this show, like I pay attention to money, where money goes, where money comes from.
Oh, you pay attention to money.
So When he got in terms of everything scientific or thought or anything related to that, I'm diverting funds from that. So medical, CDC, environment, anything having to do with health, understanding, education, he's cutting. So I'm not taking no vaccine in him.
How much money did he cut?
From who and what's the not the CDC, the other one, but either way, he would divert funds from them because they the people that's part of the whole little corrupt joint that started this coronavirus in the first place.
Do you understand how corrupt?
Like, bro, we know the joint. We know it was man-made, bro.
You know what's funny to me about black people?
It was man-made. And
you know what's funny to me about black folks?
So you think the World Health Organization had a part in spreading the coronavirus worldwide?
I do.
Yes, and here's the thing.
Y'all going on record with that?
Yes, on record. I will say that.
Right.
But here's the thing. Here's the
on
other
record.
part of the record. So shut up and let me finish. So here's
this
is where it gets relevant. Whether they did it intentionally, because it's scientists in the lab, that's what they do. They test things out. We got to test it out because what if this does happen in real life and then that could go wrong and then it could spill out and then you don't handle that properly because you're trying to keep it under wraps, or whether it happened intentionally where it's like, yeah, we actually trying to maliciously fuck up the world off some mad scientist type shit. I don't know which one it was, but what I do know is we all know it was man-made. That's not even a question, bruh. Like, people who are still trying to act like
who questioned that,
and that's what I'm saying. So if we can't question that it's not man-made, why did some man-made shit that's fucking up half the world just happen to come out like this? And who did it? Not the World Health Organization.
Let me know.
Then who else is out here just fucking shit up like
let
this?
Me know. Let me know.
First of all, I like to
Let me know when he finished.
Because you just talked.
Finished,
Let
but
me
he also would like to talk because he had something to say too.
So here's my whole issue, right? And this goes to us as black folks in general, right? How do we go from all these years knowing the FBI, the CIA, the FDA, the CDC, we all been saying they fucked up. Will Smith even said years ago he think the government administered AIDS, right? We think the media is fucked up. Yada, yada, yada. This man comes out, says it, and all of a sudden, because he said it, now we trust him? Mm-hmm. How does that fucking work?
Who said it? Who
Trump.
said what? What did he say?
Fake news. He called out the FBI, he called out the CIA, the CDC, and the FDA. We've all known all these government organizations have been corrupt for years.
The World Health Organization.
So are we in agreement where the virus started?
China.
Because I agree with that. Are we in agreement? Are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
So does China have any connection to the World Health Organization?
Yes.
Like what?
Do this or do you die?
I'm asking somebody sensible. Does China have any connection to the World Health Organization?
Yes, I feel like they do. Yes.
You feel like they do, or do you know does China have any connection to the World Health Organization?
That there is records saying that
China has connections to every organization
at the Wuhan Institute.
Listen,
like,
China's connected to us. Everything in this motherfucking room is made in China.
like,
No, I just want to get a few things on record.
They're
That's all.
connected
So
clear.
when we talk about, so I don't trust big government, right? So let's not get it twisted that I'm 100%. Oh, they said it's true, right? But I understand how it's like systems work, right? Economies, right? How all these systems are interconnected. So you got to look at incentively, what incentive would the World Health Organization have to spread the COVID virus across the world? What's their end game? What do they gain by that?
Do you want me to start or do you want to start?
Go ahead. No, I want to know.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
One incentive that they've had that we've always known, a lot of these people in these high-ranking organizations, I didn't want to go down the conspiracy road because I'm trying to keep the algorithm.
I know.
But
you be
Fuck it.
hovering.
We're
You hovering. I want to know because you're hovering.
It starts with money.
we're here now.
It starts with
Population control is a big item on the list from all the elitist people in the world. Population control, number one. Right? Is that a debatable issue?
It's very debatable.
So you don't think that population control? I mean, Bill Gates.
So they don't actually see
Bill
this.
Gates, one of the biggest figures in this whole jab virus community, has been on the record thousands of times saying he's for population control. He did a whole TED Talks about the shit, right?
I watched it. Did you actually watch it?
Yes,
I did.
Yes. So
And that's what you got from
this
it.
part in question.
Well, I mean, of course, he's not an idiot, so he got his ideas across. But if you look into what he's actually saying, people need to die.
Less people need to be born. People need to be born at a slower rate.
If you the first government to limit the amount of babies that you could have was China. China.
Why did they do that?
They said there was too many people being born in China.
Why? I know why. Why did they do that?
Let's say it.
No, you brought it up. Why did they do that?
I don't know why.
No, that's a linchpin of your argument. Why did they
Not a
limit
linchpin.
population
It's
control?
saying that
Why?
they're the first people that did it. So
I mean,
why-
I don't know the Chinese Grand Emperor or whoever the fuck
Was
president of China is.
it a scientific resource issue or was it a cultural issue?
I don't know what the actual truth is.
Okay.
I know what they said,
What did they say?
but governments say shit and that don't be the real shit all the time.
What did they say? Why did they say they were doing
They
this?
said they were running out of space in China.
Okay. Why did they say they was doing that, Kirk?
But so there's actual. Do you know the whole world's
Is it relevant?
population?
Do you have a reason?
The whole
are you
world-
going to contend that?
Hold on.
Because you're just talking
No.
at this point.
The
No,
whole
because-
world's
because
population could fit in the state of Florida and have 300 square feet apiece.
He always be throwing them joints off the back.
Nah,
I'm
but the
I wanna
reality
see you
is,
actually gonna
but the
slam
reality
dunk
is
one of them
that they're
alley-oops.
trying to lessen the world's population, and that's
so
clear.
the reality is, in terms of resources, right? We do not have a real limitation on resource. China does because of the way they conduct their society, right? Physically, how they live, how they move, how they operate. They're looking for a certain standard of living that they want to maintain and grow that standard of living. So culturally, they like, well, if we limit how many people can have babies, we can divert our resources in a certain way. But globally, there's enough for everybody times 10. Right? We have greedy countries that by military, by force, whatever, that control resources in a matter of greed. But physically, the planet has enough resources to support 3 times as many people that are on the earth right now. So it's not a real scientific reason that people talk about population
But
control
listen,
or
you
these
just
things, right?
described that there are people who are greedy.
Yeah.
That those people exist. Do you disagree that those aren't the people who run society?
I disagree that Bill Gates is a
not only Bill
population
Gates. Bill
control.
Gates is the
Well,
face.
I'm just speaking of what
Bill
he's
Gates
saying.
is the face of what we're talking about. He's not the only
Do
person.
you understand his parents started it? His
So
parents started it.
So I'm very familiar about the research that you're citing, but I'm also familiar that how much of it has been debunked.
There's nothing has been debunked about Bill Gates'
We can do it.
parents.
So let's do another episode on this because we're gonna go super far down the rabbit
No.
So you can present your evidence, and
You're
I'll
not
present
going to
my
run
evidence.
from this?
I'm not running from it, but I just know this is about to go super left.
Bruh.
But we can
No.
We
you
can
already
do.
wanted to go super level. We said we weren't trying to go super level. You kept
No,
asking us
he said
questions.
it.
We hit. I know we weren't trying to go super
Bro,
level. You kept asking questions.
You came here
Don't
with
stop now.
a left hat
Don't
on.
stop now.
He got his motherfucking revolution hat tilted to the left.
Che Guevara actually a conservative.
Come on now.
If you look at like Che Guevara and
We ain't talking about
they're
Che Guevara.
conservative.
Listen,
This is my
And-
Che
and-
Guevara hat, bitch.
and we can end it and change the subject off this.
Yeah, I'm just saying we're about to go too far down the.
Right. The genetics.
That could be a whole nother show that we
The
can.
genetics-
You can say this
I mean,
versus this.
The eugenics and all that shit, that's real shit.
No, eugenics is definitely real.
That's real shit
It's
that his
absolutely
parents
real.
participated in.
It's absolutely real.
So we would have to be fools to think that he isn't falling in the place of where his parents put him.
I just know because based on what you quoted about his parents, right? I've seen contrary evidence, and I want to know: are you secure on your sources on that piece about his parents participating in eugenics or supporting that?
I'm secure.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. We can debate that on another show.
All right, awesome. Let's get to the next topic. So we have got Charleston White was recently on Vlad TV.
Play this clown. He's a fucking clown.
So I want to play his clip, but after I play the clip, I want to get into a deeper conversation, right? But I'm gonna play the clip first. This is Charleston White on Vlad TV discussing his thoughts on Bloods and Crips and he's basically saying it may have done more damage to our community than slavery. So, hold on.
Said that.
Okay, I'm not gonna say he did more damage.
Man, listen.
No, I'm
listen,
not gonna say that. I'm gonna have to put my foot down on that
woke
one.
up every day to enslave us with hate in their hearts. What are gangs doing? They enslave the community. At least they fed the slaves. They don't even feed their communities.
Right, but not every black person's a gang member. At one point, every black person in America, below the Mason-Dixon line, was a slave.
Every black person have been oppressed by the Crips and the Bloods. Every black person have had some type of oppress, killing, murder, been bullied by the Crips or the Bloods. I'm telling you that as a black person. Tookie used to take the youth workers' snack lunches and smash the apples on their head. They started out bullying the community. They never stopped. So there's been nothing good in 50 years. They don't have a foundation. They don't have a tie shop, no laundry mats. They don't have nothing but death and destruction. So I'm saying, how they hadn't been worse than slavery. At least at one point they let the slaves free. They ain't even freed us from it yet. If you go in their neighborhoods, you gotta submit to them. You can't just be normal. You can't be a square kid. You got to be what they are. You can't play the violin. You can't play tennis. Why you think out of every game, everybody gotta be a shooter or a killer? He might just be a drum major. He might just need to play the drums. He might just need to shoot basketball. He know how to work on cars. He know how to put the radios and he know how to hook up the sound system. But they'll take the kid who know how to change tires and fix all and make him a shooter and a killer. So they make everybody shooters and killers. They don't raise bank executives. They don't raise psychiatrists and psychologists.
Fair use.
So in my eyes, working in the community as a man who sit in the witness stand on capital murder and death penalty cases for gang members, they have done more destruction in 50 years than slavery did to us.
Okay. So, Cosby Digital, I'm gonna let you start this one. Uh-oh. Damn, the camera's out. How's that? All right, Cosby Digital, I'm gonna let you roll with it. Just keep going. I got you.
First of all, shout out to Charleston White. Charleston White. He reminds me of a jail nigga who went to jail for a few years, read a few books, and he think he's smarter than everybody, right? I respect the work he does in his community. Anybody who's out there doing community work, kudos to you. I respect you because you're thinking outside of yourself. You're looking outside of yourself. You're looking to make a difference. But when you put yourself in that position, you need to be held accountable for your information, right? So for him to say that slavery has done less damage to our community than gangs in the last 50 years, because he's smart, right? He knows gang culture in America, especially Bloods and Crips, only existed for one generation. Let's start there. Slavery itself existed for 4 generations, 400 years plus, right? So just the numbers are not on his side when you talk about that. If you born on a certain street, you know what I'm saying, you have a really good chance of being in the gang. But one thing, you're not forced to be in the gang, right? It may be hard for you if you don't join the gang. You may be in a worse economic position if you don't join the gang. You might be ridiculed, you might get bullied, but guess what? You're not enslaved. Your language is not taken from you. Your family not separated. You're not chained and put on a ship and sent to a whole nother place because you didn't want to be in the gang. So this particular clip just shows his amount of ignorance on the actual plight of black people.
Can I give you some context right quick? You just said that you're not taken away from your family and sold on a ship and all that good stuff, but at the same time, gang culture does lead to you being taken away from your family and getting put in a jail. And so
I can agree with that, but most times when kids gravitate towards gangs, it's because they lack family structure. It's not like,
and they lack family structure because the father was already probably in that gang and taken from that family before his time should have been, whether it be from death or jail.
But this is still one generation that we're talking.
But here's what I'm saying too is I'm not saying I agree with him either, but for the record, if we're gonna say it was 400 years of slavery, then remember that 400 years is including this time right here. So this one generation is just the prison system, and that is just modernized slavery. So you're talking about the same thing. So he's comparing the short term context of the entire thing that he's talking about is he just compared apples to apple juice.
Yeah, I can and I can agree with that. But what he didn't talk about, which why I don't really rock with Charleston White, he tries to make black people in certain instances anomaly, right? Gangs have existed in every culture, you know, especially in modern culture that walk this earth. Especially anytime you put a marginalized people in a certain space, they develop gangs to protect themselves, take care of themselves, and do what they need to do, whether it's Italian, whether it's Irish, whether it's any minority, especially in America, has gang culture.
Can I stop you there? Yeah. Can I stop you there? Because I think what Charleston White was saying is, he made a good point. There's no laundromats. There's no foundations. There's nothing.
But actually, that's a lie. So there's so many businesses and continue to be businesses that get started by drug money and street money.
Well,
let me address what you just said. So for him to say no businesses have been started in the hood from street money is laughable. Without putting any people I know out there in DC, I can name 10 businesses off the top of my head that were started with street money.
What's also laughable is their businesses that they started off the street money. That's also laughable.
Do we have access to loans and capital?
Bruh, I'm going to put this real simple.
Do we have access to loans and capital like other cultures have access to loans and capital?
We're talking about dirty money, so we're not even talking about loans and capital.
So we talk about one of the most revered families in American history, the Kennedys, right? Let's talk about the Kennedys. Catholic. Hold on, let me finish.
What did the Kennedys do for the Irish, though? The Kennedys did a lot for the Irish.
But we're talking about a family that was started off bootleg money.
Okay.
They were liquor bootleggers. But they turned their street money into legit businesses.
You're arguing against your point.
They actually had someone ascend to the presidency. So for him to say we don't have anything based on gangs, that's actually a lie. When I know,
if you're comparing it to the Kennedys, it is the truth.
It's not. He said there's nothing.
The Kennedys went from bootlegging to the presidency and elevating the Irish community to a level we've never seen before in black community, and we've been here longer than the Irish.
What factor do they have, though, that we don't share?
They have been accepted into whiteness.
They white.
There you go.
So look, boo-hoo, I'm not white. Let's cry all day about that. Won't get us nowhere. But what will get us somewhere is if we accept the fact that these gangs, right, and I won't even just relegate it to the Bloods and Crips, right, because that's only a problem in certain regions. I've never seen a Blood or a Crip in my motherfucking life.
We used to laugh at the Bloods and Crips on
right. If you come to DC with that Blood and Crip shit, you're gonna get laughed at. So
we had our own gangs. It's neighborhood gangs.
But even with the neighborhood gangs, right, hasn't gotten anybody anywhere in any significant numbers. I think that's the point. But
that's what I'm saying. You can't isolate black culture and say, unless it was some thing that's related to your proximity of whiteness in America that allows you to transition your street money into legit money.
At some point, we have to look at ourselves.
At
some point, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and see where the fuck we went wrong.
I think his context is simply
we didn't go wrong.
Real quick, when slavery ended, black people started getting businesses. They started owning land. They started doing these things, and then after that, it wasn't just gang culture that did it. Like obviously Jim Crow, all of that type of stuff. They started ruining those communities. After they ruined those communities, instead of us trying to continue to rebuild those communities, we went into that type of culture, and that type of culture has caused the wealth gap to widen. And so at the end of the day, it's making it seem like it is worse.
And to Cosby's point, right? I don't think that you're this fucking camera's blowing me. I'm not gonna say that you're crazy for the point that you're making, right? But where I will disagree with you, well, no. First, let me tell you why you're not crazy. You're not crazy because gang culture has been altered. Fathers are out of the home, and it's too many young guys running these street games with no male influence, right? So they're running it off the whim. They don't really know what they're doing. They're getting money and they're blowing it, right? It ain't like the days when Bumpy Johnson was running his gang. Because Bumpy Johnson gave back to the community. He gave money to Malcolm X, maybe some money to Dr. King. But he was a 40, 50-year-old man running his street business. As opposed to the Bloods and the Crips era, where those young dudes running these gangs like tyrants. That's why.
Well,
that's why what he's saying
actually no, but then actually, if you look at the history of the Bloods and Crips, when you had the OGs, before the OGs were taken out, like you talking about, the OGs got taken out in the crack era, right? Let's be honest about that. That's when the OGs. The crack era is 80s on. You know what I'm saying? So the Bloods and the Crips existed before the crack era. So you got dudes that's still relics of that area that's still moving around, like the big U's of the world. You know what I'm saying? So you have people from that era that's still moving around. So just the premise why I don't fuck with Charleston White, he makes it seem like black people are uniquely or inherently fucked up when every culture from, if you say you talking about the Japanese has their gangs, the Koreans have gangs. Every culture that exists in this world that's in a marginalized situation has developed gangs and underworld activities to still participate in the economy that they've been locked out of. Every single culture that exists. So do we have a problem with black people, or do we got a problem with culture? Right? If you marginalize a people, they're gonna start gangs. They're gonna make money. People are smart. People got to take care of their families. If you lock them out of traditional opportunities, they're gonna go to the street and make money.
Japanese gangs are car clubs and dance battles.
Nah, the real gangs.
Me too.
Are you familiar, like Yakuza, like real Japanese gangs?
You just heard me.
Like anytime you have an oppressed culture, right? Anytime you have an oppressed culture where two cultures collide, when you have China oppressing Hong Kong, right? When you limit somebody's economic opportunities, they still exist. They're still gonna live, right? Just like, that's why Gangs in New York is one of my favorite movies, right? It pushed that shit in perspective of how America really operated. They slowly assimilated the Irish, the Italians, even fucking Catholic. Like, if you was Catholic at one point, like, you was marginalized. And guess what? All of these motherfuckers who was marginalized, they had gangs. Before it was even the Blood and Crip was even thought of 100 years before that. So, and America likes to romanticize these gangs now within, like, The Sopranos and all these movies, all these things that romanticize European gangs, and it shows, oh, they had to grit and bear. It was their struggle. They had to get it out the mud. They had to do what they do. They operate the same way black gangs do.
No,
But you know what they don't. But I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you why they don't. When it went all the way up to the era that you're talking about. When it went to the crack era, you know what the difference was? Unlike every now and then, right, the U.S. government will put their full weight and resources into bringing down the mob boss, bringing down the family, doing this shit, right? They would bring them down. They would overthrow the apple cart every now and then. But when it came to black people, black gangs, black anything dealing with black, they put the full weight and resources of the U.S. government behind breaking that shit up. The war on drugs. The war on drugs could have netted everybody. The war on drugs conveniently skipped around Italian gangs, Irish gangs, other ethnic gangs that existed in America at the time when the war on drugs started, right? The full weight of the U.S. government was put on the black community. So your Freeway Ricky Rosses, your Tony Lewis's, your Cornells, your all of these figures from that 80s on era, bruh, they put a 19-year-old Tony Lewis and Rafa in Quantico in a military helicopter.
So
that should let you know what type of resources were put into.
I want to put this in perspective.
Locking up black people versus the same Italian mafia structures, Irish gangs. The same gangs were still existing alongside black underworld and black crime. The same resources were never put into breaking those things up.
Let's put this in perspective.
Your iPhone said your blood pressure is rising.
Let's put this in perspective. Right?
You got some type of health notification just now when you.
At what point?
Use the help. At
what point do we look at ourselves in the mirror and say, "Wait a minute, if we would have played chess, knowing what our position is, if we would have played chess, hold up, nah, because see,
who played chess?
Hold on, we didn't.
Who played chess?
We didn't.
I acknowledge that. So who did? Whose example should we have followed?
Let me get my point off.
Okay.
All right. What I'm telling you is, at this point in our existence, we have been down this road 1 million motherfucking times. We can sit up and point all our problems to white people all day. But at what point do we stop, take a logical look at our community, like what I think Charleston White did in this interview, and say, hold up, these niggas are fucking idiots. Maybe something's wrong here also. At what point do we make that logical assessment on ourselves and stop saying, of course white people have fucked us over? That is an indisputable fact. But that is a horse that is already dead and gone, that we can, if we keep beating it, we'll keep wasting time. We'll be just like these niggas out here giving out free turkeys on Thanksgiving every year, acting like they doing something for the motherfucking community. So that ain't doing shit. What's going to actually do something is looking at our community for ourselves, assessing the problems, and getting rid of the things that are actual problems.
So can we get...
Hold on.
Okay,
let me finish, bro. Our street mentality, our love affair with the streets is holding us back, because our streets ain't worth shit. The Italian streets, the Irish streets, the Jewish streets were worth something. Our streets ain't worth a goddamn, and we keep making excuses for these niggas. Dog, Charleston White is a nigga that's in a community and he witnesses people getting bullied by their own people on this blood and crip shit. So I'm not gonna discount what he's saying because it's true.
So now you want to protect people that get bullied?
What I'm telling you is that I want to protect people that really get bullied. Like, no, people are really getting bullied by Bloods and Crips. They're not just getting teased. People are getting guns pointed to their head and getting killed and beat up.
You grew up in DC, right?
I didn't grow up in LA where the gangs really
You grew up in DC, right? Where people got bullied in their neighborhood, right?
What I'm telling you is, none of that bullying has gotten us anywhere. The bullying that Italians did to their own neighborhood, and the money, Bazzitos got cranes everywhere. Where do you think they got that money from? That's mob money. Where do you think Hollywood came from?
So
Hollywood is Jewish mob money.
So was the Jewish mob allowed to operate by the U.S. government in America?
Bro, our mobs were allowed to operate too.
No,
we didn't play chess, bro.
No, they weren't.
Bro, listen, we're never going to get anywhere if we keep sitting back and blaming every fucking mistake we make.
Well, we can't lie. We can't lie about the history of this stuff. And so this
where's the lie?
This several lies. So this is the problem I have. This is the problem I have with Charleston White.
We play
right?
bad chess.
So if we're really gonna go down this road and talk about this topic, right? The ethnic groups you just talked about, they were allowed to operate in the United States. They were allowed by the United States government to operate.
I think it's the way the organizations work.
Bruh, do you realize that we were allowed to sell crack for 20 years before niggas started getting arrested?
What? What are you talking about?
Yes. Niggas didn't.
You got blown up on your history.
Hold the phone.
You said we were allowed to sell crack for 20 years before.
We did a podcast. We did a podcast with Fats, the big fella. in 2016, he'll stamp this argument, right? When Republicans were in, and I'm not vouching for Republicans, but he made this point. He said when Republicans are in office, it's time to get money. When Democrats come in, niggas get locked up, right? His point was, niggas ate. Reaganomics, niggas ate. But we blew our money on BBS's and stupid shit. We didn't build anything. We didn't start front businesses.
We did. Yes, we did.
Hold the phone. I'm still talking.
But that'd be a lie. Like you said, it's built on. Without putting people out there, right?
My nigga,
I can name 5 businesses that are public business, right? That people know that was funded by drug money. So for the people, for you to sit up here and say that we didn't build anything from the money is a lie. Flat out a lie.
It's not a flat out lie.
No, it's literally without
There's anecdotal anomalies everywhere, bro. But in large, with all the money that niggas was getting off drugs in the 80s and early 90s, there was no foundational things set in place. And what I'm telling you is
and then let's get back to the real crux of this argument. Certain ethnic groups are allowed to take their drug proceeds, funnel it, launder it into businesses in a way that black people were never able to do. So you think the Italian hustlers were just really that smarter than black people?
They had the knowledge.
So hold on.
No. You asked me a question.
All right, go ahead.
They had the knowledge and wherewithal to understand where to put their money. It's not about being allowed to. Now, granted, black folks probably didn't know what to do, right? So I'll give you that.
It's deeper than that.
We were ignorant to knowing what to do with our money, but that doesn't excuse the fact that we didn't play chess correctly.
So let's give a real world example, right? So
because if we don't we can try to hold white people accountable all day, but they're not going to right their wrongs. If we hold ourselves accountable, we can fix it.
Let's give a Nicky Barnes or someone, Frank Lucas from that era, right? Think about this, right? They were millionaires, but you know what they existed alongside in policy? They existed alongside with redlining. They existed alongside of racist banking policies. The reason why the numbers guy was the bank in the hood, why loan sharks are prevalent in our hood, because we never had access to capital.
Okay. But there was capital
these
in
people that you talking about fumbled the ball, fumbled the bag, they existed at the same time of all these racist policies were enacted. So you could have had $1 million and still can't get a property because they didn't want to sell the shit to you. Right, no matter how much fucking money you had.
So with all that being said, you're just like right. Both of y'all are right. Like there's no wrongs being told here. But if you have that bread and they're not giving you that access, you don't then go fuck it off. You then go build. But that's a false narrative.
It's not false, bro.
It is though.
So how do you?
They both go hand in hand, bro.
Did y'all watch?
They both go hand in hand, but here's why they both go hand in hand. Yeah.
Hold on, I literally just brought up Bumpy Johnson. I literally just brought it up. Yes. I said I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I said niggas like Bumpy Johnson don't exist no more because there's no dads in the homes, and when niggas got most of that money they was getting when drugs really popped off in our community, they were too young to realize what to do with it. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you're wrong in that regard, but what I'm saying is we have to now look in the mirror and say, even though they were young, we fucked off all that money and didn't build anything.
Did the war on drugs apply to other cultures outside of black people?
Dude, mad mobsters got locked up for what they were doing.
Did the war on drugs, specifically enacted by Nixon, enforced by Reagan, apply to other cultures?
Hold on. Let's put this in proper perspective. Started by Nixon, spewed out by Reagan, enforced by Bill Clinton.
Okay, let's rephrase it. The war on drugs initiated by Nixon, put on steroids by what's the next motherfucker after Nixon? Reagan.
You can go watch
with an iron fist by Clinton.
You can watch.
Did it apply to other ethnic groups the way it applied to black people?
That's a difficult question because
let's rephrase it. Who was made the face of the war on drugs during the era of the war on drugs?
Black people. For sure.
And guess what other cultures were doing at the same times? The Italian mafia was still selling drugs. They were still infiltrating all the unions. They were still controlling the construction contracts.
You're proving my point.
You're
proving my point.
I'm not proving your point.
We got all that money and we didn't do any of that.
So what?
If you don't infiltrate the institutions and put your money in the right places, like the unions,
And that's all I was getting.
if you don't do that, you did something
build the
wrong.
companies and then you formulate unions around
that's
the
what-
companies. They can't
Alright, so
knock you because
that's what
you got
Charleston White just said.
organization.
All right, so
we ain't got
I'm
organization.
gonna catalyze this for you. At what year were black people actually given access to join unions? That's auto union.
You don't got to
hold on, no.
to join them. You can start them. Black people should be a union in and of itself.
So I'm gonna ask the question again. In what year were black people actually allowed to access these unions? You talking about like let's say the auto unions, the trade unions, the welders, plumbers. We talk about like firefighters union. What years were they able to access that?
Listen,
I don't know.
I would be a liar if I told you a year.
I don't know.
But I would.
Let's give an era. What era did they even have access
I don't
to
know.
those things?
I don't know. But I would like to
The
answer your
70s.
question.
This is his point. Let him
I would
answer.
like to answer your
The
question.
70s.
If Rayful Edmonds would have took some of that $90 million he was making a month and pumped some of
He
that.
didn't make $90 million a month.
Well, I mean, this is the folklore.
That was an astronaut. You just made some shit up.
So how much?
Let's say he made $2 million a month. That's more realistic.
That's not realistic because he was making more than that.
I'm talking about like after you paying everybody, pay
90
all
million,
whatever.
90 million a month is pretty unrealistic.
Yeah.
Bro.
Let's
If
say
his- if his organization, right?
$2 million a month. Let's say he pocketed $2 million a month. That's fucking like $20 million a year. That's a lot of money. So let's say for the sake of understanding.
If Rayful Edmonds and other people like him in his era ran their organizations similar to how the mob ran theirs,
How old was Rayful?
it would be. I gave you that point. He was young, but that doesn't excuse the fact that
It does.
We fucked off ourselves.
What happened to the generation of men before Rayful? What thrust Rayful in that position as a teenager?
Welfare queens.
No, the war on drugs.
No, the war on drugs happened during Rayful.
But Rayful Edmonds is a product of the war on drugs. They took Rayful's
Edmonds.
like, so let's see, Cornell would be Rayful's OG. To put it in perspective. So he's a product that you can start selling crack, and he went to Dunbar when he started selling drugs. So if you can start selling drugs as a 10th grader, guess what happened to the people who was on the street before you?
Okay, I don't think you understand.
They're
what I'm saying.
gone.
I don't think you get what I'm saying.
I get exactly what you're saying.
What I'm telling you is that the way that we did it was incorrect. And unless you can acknowledge where you went wrong, you will never get better.
But we had to do it within the parameters that was actually there. So what you saying how we could
There was
operate?
no law saying 50-year-old men can't sell drugs.
The people who just like every culture, anything dealing with culture, anything dealing with money, your shit is passed down to you.
Okay.
Right? Let's say if all of a sudden motherfuckers start kidnapping all the 50-year-olds and
You don't even need to go any further. The culture was fucked up from the jump.
Yeah, so if you remove the people
Cohen,
who would have been that buffer.
All I'm telling you is that the fact that our culture was fucked up,
Yeah.
no one else is going to fix that but us.
But that's why I feel like Charleston White is disingenuous because
I don't think he's this. He's just telling an uncomfortable truth.
That's a half truth. It's like if it wasn't no gangs, we would be. If you say that, you have to give the context of why these gangs exist. Because guess what? If gangs only existed in the black community, he would have a valid argument. If gangs only existed in LA, New York,
he still has
DC,
a valid argument because the
finish.
gangs that exist in other communities have thrived and they're no longer even gangs. All their businesses are legit right now.
Lies.
Okay.
Absolute lies. So,
All right.
you don't know people still get locked up for racketeering?
Do you understand why everybody in the mob can come out and tell their story right now? Because the mob is over.
But they're white.
The mob's over, bro.
They're white.
Okay, let's take it more current.
They're white.
The cartels are way more fucked up than any gangs in America, right?
Absolutely.
But their influence is heavy because they're putting their money in the right places.
So whenever we decide,
do you understand? The pipeline to Chicago comes straight from Mexico.
So when we decide as Americans, right? When we decide just political will-wise, too much shit is happening, too many people dying, too much shit happening, right? We can man the resources to go get El Chapo out of Mexico, the biggest nigga that, other than what's the other nigga name? Other than him, the biggest nigga that ever existed, right? We can man the resources to go get him out of his shit and bring him back. Because guess what? We allow this shit to happen because we make so much money off of it.
Have you ever seen Ozark?
So culturally,
have you ever seen Ozark?
Yeah.
You watch Ozark?
I love Ozark,
bro. This is what I'm telling you, dog.
So no, don't distract from my point. My point is what other cultures are allowed to do. Let's say we went through an era in America like we just want black people. Let them do their thing. Let them do their drugs. Let them thrive off their street money and build a community.
You got the game fucked up.
If they ever decided to do that,
we
can do it.
Let them. See, this is what you don't understand.
Yeah.
Nobody lets you do anything. Nobody lets you do shit. You know why the cartel do what they want to do? Because they take it. You talking about somebody letting you do something.
Who's the most powerful?
Listen.
Who's the most powerful cartel leader in the last 20 years?
First of all, that's an irrelevant question because my point
It's not irrelevant. Who's the most powerful cartel leader in the last 20 years?
I don't fucking know.
El Chapo.
And I don't care.
I'm gonna tell you
that's
why.
not the point.
No, it is the point
No,
because
it isn't.
you're making the argument that they just took it and did what they want.
I think you keep going into this point of the existence of gangs in general. But let's say any system can exist, and if your system don't work right, then we can critique your system and not the whole system specifically. It's like this. It's like saying countries don't work just because one country might be failing like shit. If this country is failing because they're not following the methods of other countries, then we need to critique that specific country. Don't critique the whole concept of the idea. Like gangs, yeah, there are gangs that work and there are gangs that cool, but it's because there are cultures who took gang culture and did something progressive with it. We not doing anything progressive with it. We are being destructive with our gang culture. So it's like as many good examples as you can provide. He still owes the black community gang culture a critique because we're not doing it the way it was supposed to be done.
But his critique is in a way that is saying inherently black people have a problem,
and that be the thing.
And he's saying with the things what we haven't done with the money, which is false because, like I said, being from DC the last 30 years,
you can't just say it's not false because you know a couple niggas with rinky-dink-ass businesses.
I'm telling you it's false because I know off the top of my head 5 businesses that's been started with drug money that still exist for 20 years. That's been started with street money. So he said we don't have nothing based upon that, right? So if I know that personally,
bro,
I know in every black community,
in the grand scheme of things, we don't have anything.
That's in general. We just don't have shit.
But Pete, those are small. But those examples that you have too, be small businesses that like might feed those specific people and their immediate families. We're talking about businesses that are able to like feed communities.
So what business do we have like that in general? That ain't, even if it ain't drug money. What do we have that in general?
Hold up. That's an even bigger criticism.
That's the point though.
That's what I'm talking about. So him trying to put that in that microcosm like, the gangs couldn't do this. The richest motherfucker. I'm naming the rich. That's why I brought up the Frank Lucases, the Nicky Barnes, the whatever. They can have millions of dollars, right? But if you still live within a racist, white supremacist society that limits your access to wealth, to land, to these economic things, they went too far as when we did it legally, they burned it the fuck down.
So
they
guess
sabotaged it. So what you think they gonna let us get it illegally? Hell no.
Bro.
Hell no. If they're not gonna let us get it legally, how can we get it illegally?
Bro, what I'm telling you is that doesn't stop niggas from going out here and committing crimes that can get them put away for life.
That's a whole nother argument.
What I'm telling you is the way that we are doing crime is wrong. There's a better way to do crime, and we're not doing it.
So this is the thing. We don't have the same access to when you do to commit the crime. Like,
I'm just tired of that pussy ass argument. Like,
it's not.
So it's like, we don't have this, nigga. We got access to do anything. Niggas are doing it.
You do.
Tokens.
It starts with a mindset. First,
Niggas are literally on Instagram
I'm
selling drugs, showing all their money that they made for the week.
So I'm confused.
Fucking it off.
I'm confused that you're a proponent of like what's the light skinned junk name? The lesbian junk that always states the numbers in the black community. The Don is getting to me. But you're a proponent of when they cite real statistics of where we are as black people economically. You can include every fucking drug dealer you want in America, right? That shit don't move the needle. I just read the Forbes about the 50 richest people in the world. Like the top 10 combined worth is $1 trillion something dollars, right? So you talking about Ray with 100,000 in a shoebox. You talking about Johnny D. He might have $1 million over here. But guess what that shit do? It don't move the needle.
Bro.
In real economics, real access to wealth, real access to property, real access to things that can uplift a whole community. That shit does not, the shit that he's talking about, the shit you talking about, does not move the needle
Niggas was making
at all.
Do you know how much money that niggas was making in the 80s and 90s off the crack?
What could they buy and keep? Because I know, and so we can't have this double time argument. I can name you 5 businesses that were started in the 80s.
What didn't they buy and keep?
So
what didn't they buy and keep? What wasn't in place? See, it's the culture.
Yeah.
That's my argument.
But we got a bastardized culture.
Okay, so good point. We have a bastardized culture, right? That's a good starting point. Let's look in the mirror and say, we're bastards. How do we not be bastards? That's the only point I'm making.
Especially for that era, the only way to not be bastard, you got to get from under the thumb of the U.S. government. That's the only way.
Okay.
Because guess what? The Italians and Irish were a bastardized culture until demographics lent them to be assimilated into white culture.
Kirk, you have a point. You
Chinese people in America, they were considered the worst of the worst before demographics came into the play. It was like, well, we can make them a model minority to push down other minorities.
All right.
So all of these people are marginalized by the government, white supremacy. These structures exist until they're needed. It could be a day 5 years from now. We were like, the U.S. government decide, I don't like Mexicans as much as we used to. We don't like Spanish people as much as we want. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to elevate the black people in America. Guess what we're going to have access to all of a sudden? Loans.
I mean, if you're waiting on that, then...
No, I'm just giving a hypothetical situation. If we don't attack the actual structure, the structural things that are holding us back, what Charleston White is talking about is a surface argument. Let's say your whole body got fucking cancer and he talking about the runny nose. Like, black people, our thing is not, oh, gangs are holding the culture back. Like, gangs is a symptom of a bigger problem. Like, when you are denied access to resources, when you're denied access to opportunity, you will move to the underworld because people are still smart. They still gotta feed their families. So they're not just gonna sit on their back and starve and die. They're gonna move to the underworld. They're gonna join gangs. They're gonna sell drugs. They're gonna hustle. They're gonna do what they gotta do.
So I'll end it off this and we can switch to the next topic. All I'm saying is about the underworld. Cultures who have a goal in mind understand that the underworld is the access to the overworld. You start in the underworld, you get your money, you organize it correctly, and now you can get to the top.
Like Jay-Z?
We haven't really gotten to that point.
Like Jay-Z?
It's not like Jay-Z because Jay-Z is not in a network of other black people where he can bring anybody up.
I don't know.
He's a whore for the overworld.
I don't know. But you talking about...
He's a whore for other...
You talking about taking street money and making it legit and turning it into a company. That's Rockefeller.
That's a false narrative. Them niggas wasn't no gangsters, but let's
so now you see how he moved the goalposts. Now it's a false narrative.
It definitely is.
So do you know one of the biggest industry that actually employs black people is the music industry? And do you know most music?
How many black people do they actually employ?
So if we go by,
because all the people that really make money in the music industry are not black. So everybody at Tidal is white.
We're not talking about Universal.
Everybody at Tidal is white.
I'm talking about on a regular level, right?
Let's get into John Gruden.
Clubs, bars, bottle girls,
white
shit that's employed by
the
hip-hop.
best clubs are white.
They aren't.
Yes, they are.
They employ black people.
All right, bro. Let's get into John Gruden. We don't got to do this. We go in circles.
We can do this.
All right, John Gruden.
We can't. Next topic.
John Gruden. This nigga Cosby Digital. He got the Shake Rivera hat. He on 1,000 today. All right.
Hey, a nigga is not going to best me with a Charleston White coat. That would never happen. That's a fucking jail nigga talking.
Raiders coach. Raiders coach. John Gruden.
Out of here.
Raiders coach John Gruden.
Collapse that ad.
I don't know how.
Collapse, nigga.
Damn, you're a genius, Kirk. Raiders coach Raiders coaches' emails included homophobic and misogynistic comments. This article is racist. They ain't even say shit about the racist shit.
They ain't say shit about how he said something about black people.
Right. Look at this shit. All right. All right. A trove of emails in separate workplace misconduct case shows Raiders coach John Gruden went beyond previously disclosed racist comments to issue broad tirades.
Oh, that's why.
All right. When the vaunted NFL coach John Gruden was confronted with a racist email he had sent in 2011 to insult the head of the players union, he said he went too far but didn't have a blade of racism in him. But league officials, as part of a separate workplace misconduct investigation that did not directly involve him, have found that Gruden, now the coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, casually and frequently unleashed misogynistic and homophobic language over several years to denigrate people around the game and to mock some of the league's momentous changes. All right, whatever. He denounced the emergence of women as referees, the drafting of a gay player, and tolerance of players protesting during the playing of the national anthem, according to emails reviewed by the New York Times. Now, he is planning to leave the team. According to reports by the NFL Network and ESPN, which cut into its broadcast of Monday Night Football during the first half of Monday night to say that Gruden would no longer coach the Raiders. Gruden's messages were sent to Bruce Allen, the former president of the Washington football team, and others while he was working for ESPN as color analyst during Monday Night Football, the sports network's premier NFL telecast. In emails, Gruden called the league's commissioner, Roger Goodell, a faggot.
And a clueless anti-football pussy.
Shout out to John Gruden. I mean, he might be right about being an anti-football pussy. And said that Goodell should not have pressured Jeff Fisher, the then coach of the Rams, to draft queers. Oh my God.
There's where the queers reference came from.
A reference to Michael Sam, a gay player chosen by the team in 2014. In numerous emails during a 7-year period ending in early 2018, Gruden criticized Goodell and the league for trying to reduce concussions and said that Eric Reed, a player who had demonstrated during the playing of the national anthem, should be fired. In several instances, Gruden used a homophobic slur to refer to Goodell and offensive language to describe NFL owners, coaches, and journalists who cover the league. Gruden, Allen, the NFL, and the Raiders did not immediately respond to the request for comment. No shit.
You don't gotta read the rest of it.
All right, listen.
It's going downhill fast.
It was.
I'm proud of you for reading 4-6 paragraphs while drunk, but you can
listen. Let me tell you something, man. I don't agree. No, let me say this. I think that John Gruden is a racist, but I also think Roger Goodell is a racist. I think all those motherfuckers are racist. So let's put that out there first.
What if the whole time the emails were from Jay Gruden and they got John Gruden fucked up because he was the one that was with the Redskins in the first place?
Nah, this is from
plot twist.
I don't give a fuck. Fire them both. I don't care.
Jay Gruden
right?
already fired.
But the testosterone in my blood also has to give it up for John Gruden, man. I have to, man. I got to give it up for John Gruden. I got to.
Give up what? For what?
Trying to give up.
What do you agree with? What John Gruden said?
I'm not saying I agree with any of his inflammatory.
Goodell's a pussy.
I do think Roger Goodell's a pussy. But
For what?
For no reason.
thanks, Kurt. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks for stopping me before I put my foot in my mouth.
Oh, look, I want to limit concussions. Oh, you pussy. Oh, you want to protest the anthem? Oh, pussy.
I mean, listen. John Gruden is going through what a lot of men are going through in the country right now. We are watching
A lot of white men.
No, I think black men too. We just don't talk about it.
I don't.
You subscribe to Kevin Samuels.
I don't identify anything with John Gruden feels.
Oh, can I finish?
Nothing. I'm just making that clear.
I want to say this. Listen,
I'm just making that clear.
I already assume that all of these motherfuckers are racist anyway. But my emotions don't. They no longer run off who's racist and who isn't, right? I applaud anybody who is willing to speak their opinion, right? If that's what you feel, and that's what you think, and that's what's on your mind, say it.
He spoke it in a private email. That was none of anybody's business.
Well, it's a work email.
It's a work email.
It's pretty stupid.
It's definitely not a private email.
I would never say no shit like that in a work email. But what I am getting at is
He definitely represent ESPN.
I don't really care what he said. The fact that he's willing to just let his nuts hang like that, whatever. John Gruden sounds like the type of guy I'd love to have a conversation with, because if he's willing to just say how he feels, I'm good with that. I'm not with this pussy ass America where people can't say how they feel and say what they think. If you think I'm a fucking nigger and you hate my guts, I'm not saying that John Gruden said that, right?
I'm curious of what Bruce Allen said back.
No, that's not gonna come out.
I am too.
Well, Bruce Allen's not a dummy. Bruce Allen was probably like, called him like, hey, John, you're pretty funny. He ain't emailing back.
Hey, look, I like the John Gruden type of redneck. They can't even hold it in, right? So you get to know where they are. Now, I will say that.
I respect it, though.
I prefer to know where racists stand. So now I know where John Gruden stand. And by proximity, I know where Bruce Allen.
Well, first of all, they call him a misogynist and a homophobe or something like that.
Yeah, you get like even 2012, the F-bomb was still, it became the F-bomb around that time. So you just be like, oh, you fucking fag. Like, people still look at you like, what? Like, especially in a work form.
I'll
go, the F-bomb was the F-bomb in 2012.
I don't give a fuck.
Putting faggot
I'll
in
go
the
on.
email. Like,
Yeah,
that's
that
not
was
even
a-
cool.
that-
I'll go on record and say this. I don't give a fuck about somebody, some white man calling somebody a quote unquote, I'm not going to say it because of the algorithm, but the F-A-G-G-E-T word. I don't care about that word because gay white men are not coming out in woodworks against the word nigger. So if somebody called you that, oh well. The chickens have come home to roost.
Well,
Okay, Malcolm.
if a white person, I mean, I still think the one word that like we get a pass on for whipping somebody's ass is nigga, and we act like we don't. We the only ones that get away with saying it. If other people say it to us and you actually do react, don't shit really be happening to people.
Dog, you'll have to be a fool if you, oh my God, this camera. You'd have to be a fool if you think that gay white men aren't around straight white men and they're not saying the word nigger. You'd have to be a fool if you don't think that's
I'm
good.
not
That
talking
goes
about
on.
white people on white people. I don't care what they do behind our backs. I'm talking about to our faces. Yeah, I don't care what they do behind our backs. I'm just talking about you don't want them to, but at the end of the day, that shit don't matter. But a lot of people bold behind your back.
That's the difference between racism and prejudice. Like John Gruden is in a position to affect black people's livelihoods. So we can't have those people in positions to affect your livelihood. And we got a chance to get them up out of there. You get them up out of there, right? I don't care about somebody being prejudiced. We all share prejudices, but prejudice and racism is two different things. Like when you refer to somebody as dumb and big lip, those are tropes, right? Like that's related to some real shit. And he thinks he's smarter than probably DeMaurice Smith, but he don't even have the same credentials that DeMaurice Smith has. For him to even
lips.
Yeah, to even speak on it.
Yeah.
He don't even have lips. How you gonna talk about somebody's upper lip? He don't even have lips. His face just runs into his teeth like a fucking like a toll road. It just stops.
Nigga called his mouth a toll road.
Yeah, right. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck?
Nigga get all the PT cruises.
Listen, I hear what you're saying, right? And you're saying John Gruden is in a position to. Do you understand that all these people talk like this, right?
All of them
Locker
don't.
room talk.
What?
So
all of them don't.
So no. So I'm not gonna say how they talk and how they don't talk, right? But it shows a level of callousness and contempt when he took the time to type it in the email, right? Every human being would be lying if they say they didn't have an opportunity where they felt prejudice or they bought into a stereotype. But guess what? Most decent people have a governor that says, hey, I thought that, but this might not be right. Hey, I thought that. Let me not act on that. He had to go past like 3 layers to write it and send it in the email. So that shows me he a different type of motherfucker.
He might treat email.
That's not the type. That's not the type of motherfucker you want in charge.
I can't wait.
Is what I'm saying.
I can't wait till we get to the day where everybody can just say what the fuck they want to say.
People say so. Powerful people always say what they want to say. Right? He thought he was powerful enough to say what he wanted to say in the email. What John Gruden realized, he's powerful, but in terms of the whole power structure, he ain't that powerful. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's everybody. It's community.
He ain't that fucking powerful, and that's what he realized.
What's that right there?
He thought because he was a white dude that worked for ESPN, he can say whatever he wanted to say. He realized there's a lot of people richer than him. They got more money on the line based upon black bodies that he can't say that and get away with it. Now that's a learn lesson for him and a bunch of other races that you not as high as you think you are on the totem pole. That was John Gruden's problem. He thought he was more important than what he actually was. He's like, I got $100 million contract. I can say whatever. I work for ESPN. I can say whatever. I'm a Super Bowl winning coach. I can say whatever.
This nigga broke the top of the fucking Don Julio White. How did you do that?
Well, that's right. That shit just popped off all wild.
It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men.
I don't know how that.
This just popped off a while.
I don't know how it happened.
Yo, listen.
But shout out to John Gruden, man. Fuck you.
Listen, I'm not mad at nobody for speaking their mind at this point in my life because I just don't. Honestly, I'm done with the pussy ass arguments and complaints about what white people do. They gonna do what they do. We just need to drop our nuts and do what we do. People ain't gonna like you, dog. It is what it is. But at the same time,
do you think John Gruden should have been fired for that?
No.
So you think it's okay for him to lead black men? Now that we know what his real mentality is?
Now that he's looking at their lips.
Listen, man. Sandusky led a whole lot of black men and a lot of black boys to the locker room.
Fuck does that have to do with what we talking about?
He never said a racist thing on record.
We're talking about John Gruden leading the 90% black Oakland Raiders after we understand level of racism. You think that's okay?
The beef of the article was the misogynistic thing he said.
I'll give a final answer after you do something for me. Can you scroll and click on the one that says the racist argument and see if he puts what he said in that joint? Because if it's only the lips, that's just John Gruden being jealous.
No, he called him.
Lips.
His name is DeMaurice Smith. He called him DeMaurice Smith.
Is that racist?
But that's just a little joke, like.
That dumb Morris Smith with the lips the size of Michelin tires.
Bro, I'm not, like, people insult people all the time. First of all, me and you, right?
Yeah.
We just went to the bar last night. We insulted so many people, and a lot of them were white. We insulted a lot of people last night.
And
between the two of us.
I'm saying. It's so easy to throw out an insult out there, especially when you always on joke time. That could be what that is. So besides the dumb Morris and the lips, all you got is him calling Roger Goodell a faggot, which I don't care about. I keep forgetting you can't actually say it. And then,
well, you said it.
And then I would care if it was actually a gay trope and he was actually gay. Like he's just saying that. Roger Goodell, I don't think it's gay, but I don't know.
I don't know, but
yeah, he might know something we don't know actually. So maybe he was calling him out. But then the Michael Sam thing.
That's why you can't do the shit.
Yeah, but here's what I'm saying. Like the Michael Sam joint is that's messed up. Like making room for queers and all of that. So like
that's some old school cracker shit.
Yeah, I do think he should be fired.
He's queers.
Off the strength of.
But Michael Sam was a bum.
Bruh.
Yeah.
But it's still, bruh. This is the job.
And that's all I'm saying. I don't know.
Your job of tackle, like your job of football has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. Like,
but what John Gruden might have been saying is, why are we forcing this man, Jeff Fisher, to draft this bum just to make room for...
But hold on, let's not get it twisted. Like I can say if they pulled Michael Sam out of the nowhere, the nigga was a D1.
Yeah, but he
D1 after, and he had like 15 sacks that season. Like he wasn't a bum. Like it's plenty of niggas who go to the league and wash out, but the nigga wasn't a bum. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying he was a bum based off of his stats or anything like that. Yeah, he put the numbers together. But what I'm saying is, some scouts like have a job too. They were saying shit like his arms is too short for like the linebacker position and like things like that. Basically saying he shouldn't have been drafted as high as he was. Not that he shouldn't be drafted. It's just the publicity around the number where he should be drafted and how they acting like he needs to be drafted was his issue. But I'm sitting here speaking for not Jeff Fisher, John Gruden, and I don't even agree. I do think he should have been fired. But not because of what he said about DeMaurice Smith. Listen, my point.
I'm telling you, I don't give a fuck about his comments.
He's fired because the boss, he said some crazy things about the
Roger Goodell.
Boss.
I mean,
let's not get it twisted. He got fired because of what he said about Roger Goodell, not because of what he said about DeMaurice Smith.
I mean, and the article starts off with saying he said homophobic and
because that's the most recent. That shit came out after. But like the DeMaurice shit came out first.
That's what I was gonna say.
The homophobic
originally,
stuff came out
it looked
after.
like they were just completely excluding that he said racist things, but it's because he had already said the racist things. They were saying he also said some homophobe stuff and all of that.
I mean, I don't know. I just honestly like I want to get back to the day when men can just be men and we can just talk our shit. And
what day is that?
I talk shit about everybody. I talk shit about every race. I talk shit about every sexual orientation. But guess what? If I'm the employer and I interview you and you're good enough to do the job, those jokes don't mean shit at all. If you can get the fucking job done, my jokes don't mean anything.
But guess what? That's why it's important that John Gruden got to get fired, because he's not only the head coach, he deals with coaches, personnel, right? He has the ability to limit someone's job based upon his racist leanings. And it's not a merit thing at that point. It's, I don't want to fuck with you because of this. So that's why motherfuckers, if he was the ball boy, it wouldn't have made news. If he was if he was probably the quarterback coach, it wouldn't have made news, because they don't have he's in a position of authority to affect people's lives. So you got to get people like that out the way.
But, I mean, because someone makes jokes about you, does that mean they hate you? Well, they just hating on you a little bit.
Exactly, that's how I feel. Number one, and then number two, he said these things 10 years ago when he was in a complete different position, and people have room to grow. He might feel differently. He might not even feel like he's a dummy now. They might be friends.
Yeah, they ain't friends.
Honestly, I think the joke about Morris was funny. Dumb Morris, that's pretty funny.
I'll challenge y'all to look up.
I would have laughed.
They talked about they interviewed a lot of former players, right, and asked them what they thought about those comments and how they would feel having to play for John Gruden after they heard that, right? Because you got to realize this is a business, right? This business.
That's a fact. It is a business.
This business runs on black.
Good point.
This business runs on black bodies.
Good point.
So if you offend the product, black men are the product. So that's like going into the motherfucking milk and steak factory and offending the cows. Like, and like that's the product. You're offending the motherfucking product and saying you're less than, and you're supposed to be a leader. And they built John Gruden up to be this big.
But you also talk about 90% population that these bitch ass niggas let Cap burn. Exactly. And they still played.
They didn't stand up for that man when they
so
had
fuck
the
them
chance.
niggas. Let them niggas say whatever they want.
They lost their opportunity.
Y'all niggas still played.
Not be slaves.
So fuck y'all niggas. He can say all the niggas
Very
and
expensive.
F-bombs he want. Y'all niggas ain't do shit when Cap got fired. Y'all niggas kept playing. So let them keep calling y'all what they calling y'all. Maybe it's true.
Pussies.
Fucking coons.
Well, that went left.
Pussies.
So you realize like 50% of the people that's in the league now wasn't even in the league when that shit happened with Cap. Literally.
That's irrelevant.
Literally. No. Because you can't indict the whole
Yes,
group
you can.
No, you can't.
Because they can still do it tomorrow if they wanted to.
Who got the rallying cry tomorrow?
Anybody.
Or did everybody go back to business as usual?
And that's the point.
This nigga,
There
you
was
went to
never-
the fucking game.
there was never
it's
a
business
right-
as usual. I
there
went
was
to the
never-
game.
listen,
it's
there was-
business as usual at that
Listen,
point.
bro.
Why should I give a fuck
There
if they
was
don't?
never a rally cry when Kaepernick did it. He started it.
And that's why I'm not crying about John Gruden.
He just said, fuck Eric Reed. You should have fired him. So how you going to agree with him?
Listen, what I'm telling
Eric
you
Reed,
is,
hold on, no. Don't gloss over that. Eric Reed.
I didn't gloss over shit, bro. You be
just
making
did.
new
He was
narratives.
He was like, Eric Reed, I didn't hear that. He said, I think he threw his cup when I said it. So you just said you have no problem with John Gruden said. He said, fuck Eric Reed. He should have been fired.
Listen,
That's who stood with Kaepernick was Eric Reed. So you're in agreement that
what I'm telling you is
he didn't
the
agree with what he
NFL
said.
is filled with a
He said
bunch
he
of
shouldn't be
fucking
fired.
coons. Fuck them.
He said all them niggas say this.
All y'all niggas
even
deserve
Eric
that
Reed?
shit. Get your coon ass back on the field and play, nigga.
Damn, this not gonna age well.
I don't give a fuck. Dog, they all was pussy.
Eric Reed wasn't a pussy.
Shout out to you, Eric Reed.
You just said they ain't support Cap. That was his right. He literally in the picture with the nigga kneeling.
Okay, shout out to Eric Reed. Wherever you are, shout out to you. I know you're a millionaire somewhere.
Yeah, you can't keep moving the goalposts when it just fits your narrative.
I'm not moving the goalposts.
You just did.
What I'm telling you is I don't give a fuck what these people say. Y'all niggas really want the job, so keep doing the job and shut the fuck up.
You said you agree with John Gruden.
You heard?
I never said I agree with John Gruden. I just said I don't give a fuck about what he said.
literally said he didn't, but he did say that he don't think he should be fired.
I don't. Goodell. How the fuck are we sitting up here mad at John Gruden for talking shit about Eric Goodell when we know Eric Goodell's a piece of shit?
Roger Goodell.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck him. They all pieces of shit.
It's about even when we on our jobs, nigga had a job, right? People who do dirt, but if you
Roger Goodell had a job.
But if you get caught, you gotta go.
Roger Goodell had a job.
Anybody who got a job,
Speaking
niggas
of
all
jobs,
do dirt on their
ain't
jobs.
nobody
You
calling
get
for
caught,
his
you gotta
job.
go.
Speaking of jobs, it's 12 a.m.
Oh, I forgot you had a job. Me too. All right, well, you know what? I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and do this. It's about that motherfucking time for final thoughts.
I'll take it from here. You don't have to tell me I go first. I know my role by
You going first, Kirk.
Nigga wanted to tell me so bad. Dave Chappelle is a genius. I think I said on that, what was it, 8 minutes and 46 seconds, something like that, whatever it was called.
Damn, you remember the seconds?
I don't remember. That's why I'm asking if I'm right, but I think I'm right. And so because I think I'm right, I remember when he made that joint, I said Dave Chappelle is one of the only black men I want speaking for me. And
You did say that.
I know.
That was a lot of podcasts ago,
Oh
right?
yeah, I know. I be standing by my words, and I be knowing what these niggas be talking about. And I still say he's the only person I want speaking for me. Like, he know how to put this shit together. You gonna laugh about it, and you gonna get a lesson out of it at the end of the day. And so I stand by that statement. Hopefully he still comes out with some more specials sometime soon, even though he said he ain't. He probably just think he about to be canceled. I don't know. But shout out to that man.
60 million up.
Exactly. I'll go into John Gruden because it's fresh on my mind and you just played that football joint, but I don't stand by his comments. Just to be clear, I do think Michael Sam was a bum as well. And it's like, nah, but
Oh no. There's a man down.
I was waiting for that one.
nah, but on a semi more serious note, it's good to see that the NFL steps up and supports the I guess players against these racist people the same way the NBA did. NBA got a whole owner up out of there. What was my man name? Donald Sterling. Yeah, they got.
You know his wife. I think his wife still owns it though, right?
Oh, for real.
Nigga, Steve Ballmer on the Clippers.
Who?
Steve
I
Ballmer.
mean, that don't mean she don't own a percentage still. She probably got
Steve
a little
Ballmer owns the Clippers.
Who the fuck is that?
100%.
The nigga from Microsoft.
The whole 100%.
The eugenist.
The whole 100%. Yeah,
You don't know for a fact. First of all, nobody owns 100% of no team.
Own 100, yeah, exactly. He organized a group, and that group.
No one in Donald Sterling's family has any part of the Clippers anymore.
Motherfucking O'Shea Guevara over here.
Why y'all interrupting my final thoughts?
My bad. You got it.
Y'all would have been pissed.
He would have been.
He would have been.
Y'all niggas do that to me all the time. I don't give a fuck.
Anyways, but yeah, shout out to John Gruden getting fired for whatever he did. Cursed out this boss or whatever. Shout out to more people cursing out their boss.
I do it all the time.
I do it all the time, dog.
I got email proof.
They be blowing, man. They piss me off for no reason all the time, and I just piss them off right back. You ain't gonna have a good day. What was the other topic? We had one more.
Charleston White.
Charleston White.
Oh yeah, slavery has done way worse than gangs. Gangs is just a secondary effect of slavery. All this shit is a run-on sentence. Figure out something new to do. Those are my final thoughts. Clap, 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 clap.
O'Shea Guevara. What you got?
O'Shea.
It's a black name. You get the joke.
Who the fuck is that? Anyway, shout out to everybody who tuned in today. Straight Talk No Chase podcast.
We got like 2 viewers.
You do know this has a replay, right?
I don't give a fuck. We got a good sense of humor here.
Shout out to Kurt Keys back with his the World of Street was beefing because he wasn't on those shows together.
Hey, I forgot to mention that too. That's hilarious, man. We did 5 shows and we wasn't on none of the same ones. I had 2, he had 3.
Nah, it was just business and health.
It was a beef. We was beefing. In case y'all was wondering. It's like, nah, we said we was gonna play that out. Like,
yeah,
that,
I ain't like that.
but
Kurt Keys in here. And I said I ain't working on. He in here wearing one shoe.
Trying to do business and ain't even showing up in the same shows. In the
Kirk
front
wasn't sharing the weed. We're going.
He's showing up to the podcast with one shoe on. I said I can't work under these conditions. I can't work under these conditions. He got one shoe on in the pod, so it wasn't going to work. But yeah, I'm gonna start with Charleston White. It's so easy to pick situations from a marginalized community and pick the symptoms of a larger problem. You can always harp on the symptoms and not have the courage to go after the real issue. That's one thing I learned about Charleston White. I tuned into his content at first. I was like, oh, he kind of makes sense. But I realized he didn't have courage because he only attacks black people. And when it comes to something that is outside of black people's control, like our economic circumstances in America, we're not willing to take up arms and really, we know what the real plan is. You know what I'm saying? And he isn't willing to go that far. He's just willing to say what's going to get some clicks and some views without giving any context or any understanding of what we are really going through as black people. So when he says that 50 years of gangs is worse than 400 years of slavery, lets me know he's a complete idiot. If you look at the effects of slavery on black people, removing our name, removing our culture, separating our family, making us less than human, those lasting effects still affects generations to this day. My kids are gonna experience the effect from slavery. 9 times out of 10, my kids will experience that effect from slavery. That is not the case with the Bloods and the Crips. I lived my life perfectly for almost 18 years, not experiencing anything having to do with Bloods and Crips living in DC because we didn't have them. But guess what I did experience in DC, Charleston White? Racism. And you know what racism stems from? A white supremacy. You know what white supremacy stems from? Enslaving people.
Slavery.
So for him to have this position is absolutely asinine, and I hope he reads more books, not just the books he read in his prison cell.
Oh, come on.
Oh, now, Mr. Wallace.
I wouldn't give you that. I replaced that button with the Price is Right joint.
Anywho, let's when it comes to the Dave Chappelle special,
Camera boy, come on.
it was brilliant. Dave did an excellent job of breaking down the hypocrisy that exists in America as a whole, but really honing in how marginalized groups are co-opted, right? How black LGBT feminists, transgenders, gays have been cooperated and co-opted into a white supremacist agenda in America, to where as though when they need you, i.e. women's march, more recently, old school women's suffrage, old school feminism in general. When they need you, they need you. When it's time for them to go to bat for you, they are nowhere to be found, because their allegiance doesn't really align with your ultimate strategic position, which is a black person. Straight, gay, transgender, you're black first. So Dave did a very good job of exposing that hypocrisy. And he also was able to start a real dialogue and conversation. And that's what true a genius art is about. How you interpret it, how you can start a conversation, how you can push the culture forward through the creation of your art. And time again, Dave Chappelle has proven he's a genius in that era. An area of pushing the culture forward through his art, from his first stand-ups to the Chappelle show to the various stand-ups that came about to right now. He exposes the hypocrisy of we need you when we need you, and when we don't, we don't. That's the American way. What was the last topic?
John Gruden.
John No Lips Gruden.
That's the John Gruden's lips.
I got something to say about John Gruden. Like, John Gruden is the classic white male that feels inferior when they see a black man in position of power. They can't understand how he got there.
Look at those lips.
Because he's been taught his whole life men like that shouldn't be in a position of power to dictate what he can do. So when he found that DeMaurice Smith was in a position to make or break his season, you know, that was during the lockout year. No NFL, no Monday Night Football, no John Gruden on TV. And we don't know how that would affect his career, his money, his contract, whatever. So when he saw a black man in a position of power that had the ability to cancel his season, he couldn't handle it. And we know what childish people do. We know what people who feel inferior do. They go to the insults. DeMaurice Smith. Your lips are big as Michelin tires.
That's funny though.
And I want y'all to Google DeMaurice Smith. Just look at his picture. He looks like the average black man walking the street.
Little ass lips.
So what that lets me know, it wasn't just, oh, I'm just snapping on him, I'm just making jokes. That insecurity came out, because you have to be a really insecure person to sit down and type that. They didn't overhear it in a bar. They didn't overhear a private conversation. He sent that in an official email. He had to take time. We've all said some wild shit in a text message, and we think about it. Oh, we're going to delete that. I can't send that. He was so emboldened, so in his racist fucking bag. He's like, I'm just going to type this shit in the email and send it to the GM, Bruce Allen, which I know he's a cracker now, because he received that. And you only deal with people who have the same mentality as you. So if he felt like he can send 20-something racist emails to Bruce Allen, we know the type of man Bruce Allen is by his response or lack thereof response.
Bruce Allen hired his incompetent brother.
Yeah, they got family ties. Oh yeah, that's a whole nother episode we gonna address. But just to put a cap on that, John Gruden is the quintessential inferior, jealous white male in America. And when they encounter black men of power and privilege and understanding, they can't figure out how they got there. They don't understand why they have to be submissive to them. And the only response they can have is to insult them because they can't be them. They can't be us. That's my final thoughts.
Wow. Okay. Kirk Keys, Cosby Digital with some very introspective. That's a word, right?
It's a word, but it's not what we did.
Okay.
No, that's kind of introspective.
Final thought. Yeah, introspective final thoughts.
I guess.
First of all, I'd like to say
That's not what we did.
shout out to Kirk Keys and Cosby Digital for only being an hour late apiece. I gave both of these niggas hustler times today.
Bitch, I was on time. You said 9 o'clock. I was here before 9.
I told you 8.
My text message said 9.
I told Kirk 8 too, but I told Kirk, I said,
No, we said 9.
I said, I know you're not going to be here until 9. So I expected him to be here by like 9:15, 9:30. Closer to 9:45, but who cares? The crew is back together. The beef is over.
He still didn't put his shoes on. I'm still beefing. I need to change my contract.
All right, I'll switch you to 50 cents an hour.
God damn, that's Elian Gonzalez prices.
This nigga is like Face Records.
What's the joke CB4 work for? I'm that nigga. Trust us. But nah, yo, real quick, my final thoughts. Look, I think the theme for my final thoughts tonight will be, I don't give a fuck.
Oh, we know.
When it comes to Dave Chappelle, whoever he may or may not have insulted, guess what? I don't give a fuck. Because I don't give a fuck about any of you niggas' emotional gripes with Dave Chappelle. And this is a special shout out to the Alphabet Boys.
This nigga's about to ruin
No disrespect. No, absolutely no disrespect to the way anybody wants to live their life. I have never done that and I never will. But I'll say this. Find a different rag. No, use the same rag you use to wipe up other things and put that shit on your tears. Because as a black man in America, I thoroughly don't give a fuck about what offends you.
It's going left. It's going left fast.
In my opinion, Dave Chappelle went easy on you motherfuckers. Because you spent years piggybacking off the sacrifices of black Americans trying to make your own makeshift struggle when it's really the same struggle. Let's look at the black people in your community. Let's look at the black people in the LGBT community who are constantly discriminated against by y'all. You don't have nothing to say about that. So I don't got nothing to say about Dave Chappelle. No, I do have something to say about Dave Chappelle. He was correct. Keep him coming, Dave. Next topic. What was it?
I knew he was going to
It could be
Charleston White.
Charleston White.
Now, while I disagree with Cosby Digital, I will say this. There are definitely factors behind why the Crips and the Bloods or gangs period are the way they are. But the fact still remains that they're fucked up. Street culture in general, I won't even say gang. Street culture in general in the black community is fucked up, and a mirror needs to be shown. We can sit up here and talk about white people doing shit to us till we're blue in the face. But at the same time, you niggas are doing something too. And I think that that's what Charleston White was trying to get across. Because the bottom line is there are no foundations. There aren't anything constructive that Bloods and Crips are doing. So to that point, I agree. No one made an argument about what they actually do positive for the community. The only argument that anyone made on this podcast tonight, shout out to Cosby Digital, was that they do this because the white man did this to us. Cool. But it doesn't negate the fact that they're not a positive, or they're not even a beneficial benefactor to our community. There's no benefit to the Bloods and the Crips. The Bloods and the Crips don't take their dirty money and build institutions or make business to hire black people and do things in an ethical way or put people. They don't do any of that. They take just like everyone. They take just like the white man takes. The white man takes more, but them niggas still take. Unapologetically. So, while we can sit up and we can criticize definitely that Mr. White left some integral things out about systematic white supremacy, he definitely did. But at the same time, nothing that he said was wrong besides the barometer that he has between racism and gangs. I mean, that's off. Hundreds of years of slavery compared to 50 years of tyranny is off.
In full communities where they actually existed.
So, to that point, I'll give that to Cosby Digital. But at the same time, I don't want to take away from what he was really trying to get across. These niggas are fucked up, and they need to be checked. What was the last topic? John Gruden. John Gruden, he's a funny guy. I don't care. That's my topic for my final thoughts tonight. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about what he said about women. I don't give a fuck about what he said about the LGBT community. I really don't even give a fuck what he said about Morris Smith. I don't. Men talk shit. That's what we do. If we were to really analyze what any of these people say behind closed doors, the offenses and the firings would last for thousands of years. Hell, if you listen to what me and Cosby Digital said last night at the bar about people, we'd be canceled.
I wouldn't be canceled.
You definitely would, nigga. Stop.
I wouldn't be canceled.
You'd be canceled.
Wouldn't be canceled.
Now, granted, if John Gruden does get canceled, I don't give a fuck. He ain't putting no food in my family's mouths, and to be honest with you, he ain't important to me. So cancel him for all I care. But personally, do I give a fuck about the jokes he had to say about people? No. Because I got jokes for them motherfuckers too. No, I could be wrong, but other than the jokes that he had, besides the fact that he robbed Tony Dungy of his first Super Bowl.
Like shit.
Besides that, I can't really attest to anything systemically John Gruden has done to black people in the NFL to affect their careers. His opinions about their lips or about their sexuality, or not just black people, but just about people's sexuality and all that shit, I don't care. Those are jokes that he shared with another motherfucker. I got jokes too about all you motherfuckers.
Would you put it in the work email?
Hell no, I ain't that stupid. Fuck no. He's a fucking idiot for that. But do I care if he's found it out? Hell no. The whole NFL is racist. So any of you bitch ass niggas in the NFL that got complaints about Roger Goodell, go fuck yourself, because all of you niggas are still in the league and you sat up and watched Cap go through all that shit. And you didn't do anything. You kept playing. You kept getting them checks. You kept eating and drinking the Campbell soup. All of you niggas did. So don't try that bullshit now. Anyway, that's been this episode of Straight Talk No Chase. If you're catching this show, I don't know how to explain it. If you're not watching it live and you're catching the show,
I don't know how to explain.
if you're catching the show not live, yo, put all your gripes in the comment section. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And most importantly, don't forget to hit the bell and select all. For myself, Cosby Digital, and Kirk Keys, I'd like to tell all you lonely ladies out there tonight, 7-Eleven is 24 hours. They got batteries for you lonely ass bitches.
Could have gone left.
We out of here.
We almost made it.